right, guys and gals. I just heard from Wayne, and he will be hopefully backstage here momentarily. But as you guys all know, I'm good at BSing a little bit when I need to. Um, so, who we got in here? Blissful's in here. Hey, Blissful. Uh, how long do you work, Wes, on Fridays? Do you not get off at 5, or what's the deal here? And no, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. And I see you and Steve are kind of throwing back and forth some verbal barbs. Now, come on, guys, don't derail this. This is an exciting moment for the Deadites on Deck channel. I'm actually interviewing somebody, so let's be nice to each other. And I hear my voice way back there, so Steve must be, I don't know. He's either watching me on his computer or he's watching me um, on the television. I don't know, using YouTube. Well, no, I am not having the the rock on. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? But no, this is a friend of Lori's. It's Wayne W. Johnson, I should say, and that may be why he likes to have that W in there, so he's not confused with The Rock or Dwayne Johnson. Hey, Uncle Bill. Yeah, no, I haven't quite made it to getting The Rock on here. I'm not like you guys, I'm just starting out. Um, let's see. Hey, Super Batman Nerd, you say I only seen Night of Something Strange, really weird. Lori, I mean Blissful. Lori's her real name, and you're not spelling it right, by the way, Wes. Um, hey, Chris. He says, hi all / the like. Blissful says, Wes, I'm Lori. You got to spell it like she put it there, Wes. You spelled it like how my mom spells her name. I'll put this up here. I'll promote y'all, Wes. Wes says, let me invite y'all to check out our latest Dead Pit on the Road episode whenever this show ends, of course. I still got to watch that one. I'm intrigued, Wes. X-Ray says, fuck The Rock. Dana needs to get Norman Smiley on this mofucker. Steve says, I'm a believer. Is that in reference to the Exorcist movie, Steve? So when Wayne sent me the last message he sent me on Messenger, he said he's waiting for his computer to start. So um, I think he'll be here momentarily. Plus, you say, Wes, I promised TJ he could time you out first. Don't make me break my promise. Chris says, yeah, I want your thoughts on Exorcist Believer. The Super Batman Nerd says, I checked it out last night. It was hilarious. What, a fan of you guys or a fan of that lousy Exorcist movie? X-Ray, you say Dana is going to have a divisive opinion like Exorcist Believer was better than the original. Just watch. Nah, no. I can guarantee you that won't happen, X-Ray. Chris, you say, I work in the grocery business, so I deal with shitty people all the time, so no theater going for me. No, I'm not going to watch it at the theater either. I'm just going to, flat out say that. Um, so So what's been going on with everybody else, today, besides working? Um, Wes, I did not know that Cutting Class was coming out on 4K. I think I had heard about One Dark Night. I mean, Cutting Class is an okay movie. I know that some people don't care for it. I guess I'm excited. Hey, Blair. Blair says, I love seeing the Dead Pit on the road again. Yeah, the Dead Pit on the road things have been away for way too long. Oh, okay. So maybe I was thinking of something else, Wes. You said One Dark Night was just announced this evening, both coming from MVD Rewind. Okay. So what else is going on with everybody? Wes says, show your support and like and share, etc. There may be more sometime. Well, I hope there is, actually. I hope Wayne doesn't have any technical difficulties. The way he was talking, it was like maybe a slow computer or something. Ask Steve what he's getting you for Christmas. Well, if Steve's still in here, Steve, what are you getting Wes for Christmas? Sewer Batman Nerdy said, I would like to laugh at the people that moved away from Wes and UB while watching The Exorcist Believer. Yeah, there you go. X-Ray says Dead Pit has to do Thanksgiving. Eli Roth hasn't had a good Dead Pit thrashing in over a decade. I actually told Steve that I was willing to go to the movies and see Thanksgiving. Well, thank you for telling me that now, Wes. You say we don't do interviews live on StreamYard. Had lots of issues before. Steve says he's getting you a box of nothing, Wes. Uncle Bill, you say it happened. Apparently, we were laughing too much uh, about how scary it was. LOL. Nah, I don't think Eli is a dreamboat by any stretch of the imagination. Well, that's kind of too little too late now because we had this plan for a while. Wes, you say Eli's new Vince McMahon mustache. I didn't know he had a new Vince McMahon mustache. So Wayne just said he's going to be coming on here momentarily. So perhaps this will go off without a hitch. I don't know what that metallic smell is back here all of a sudden. I don't know if it's coming from outside or what, or else I'm losing my mind. But hopefully, I will be seeing Wayne backstage here momentarily. No, wiring is on fire. Lord, I hope not. That's all I need. I don't know. Maybe it's this damn hard drive back here behind me. Um, I might have to have Steve come and check on things back here because I don't know. I just started smelling something all of a sudden. I don't know if Steve's being a ninja again. I thought he was still back in the living room, Blissful. Uh, No, I'm not going to ask Wayne if he has a friend named Garth. I'm not even going to go there. Yeah, exactly. Steve. No, it's a metallic smell. And I just started smelling it all of a sudden. Um, Steve's pissing in the oven again? Nah, Steve never pisses in the oven. Jesus. All right. I think, yeah, there's Wayne. Okay. So I am going to have Mr. Wayne W. Johnson on here momentarily. And this is really exciting for me because Blissful, aka Lori, she has been talking to me for about the past month or two about getting the horror and the rock community kind of twisted up in knots, so to speak. Okay. So I thought, what better way than to kick this off with somebody that's musically inclined and has his own band and everything, and is also in the horror circles as well. He's been in some movies and television, I believe. And so I'm going to get Wayne on here so he can start talking about this stuff. So, welcome, Wayne.
Hi. First of all, big apologies for
Oh, no,
my computer. Just I don't know what it is with it. Ever since I've upgraded to not by choice Windows 11, it just takes like anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes for it to start up. I mean, I've been doing this like 10 minutes before 5, and I'm just sitting there waiting. And you see, I'm in the background. I'm redecorating. This is just this is one of the backgrounds I had back there. So, as much as I would love to say that actually is my place, one day.
Well, you could have fooled me. Like, you got a great green set up or something.
Yeah, it says stream this to your audience. Should I hit that, or should I just keep this on here?
You could probably keep it on there.
Keep it on. Just keep it right here for right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, it's my first time using Streamyard, so I'm a newbie.
Yeah. Well, my buddy Wes told me just before he came on
Mm-hmm.
that they don't do live StreamYard anymore. Gee, thanks for talking about that. So I guess I started by asking you, how did you get into horror?
You mean like horror movies and all? Getting the
yeah.
Stuff? Well, basically, I didn't really intentionally go into any genre when I first started. I actually was just looking for any kind of acting gig, because unfortunately there's no handbook. It's not like being a doctor where you basically have a pathway, because everyone who knows in the creative arts knows that everyone's path is a little different, sometimes very different from the next person. And even though you follow all the same steps, that doesn't mean you're going to get to the same destination. So I started off. I've always had a thing for acting a little bit. Actually, when I was much younger and I came to a crossroads, it was like either acting or music. And I chose music because, this is the truth here. Music seemed to be an easier pathway for me to get laid. All the people that I was hanging around with all at that time, they were all musicians and stuff, so that was a factor too. But yeah, when I was a lot younger, I didn't have this. It's not a wig. It's just hair that's still being repaired from after going through COVID pneumonia last year, and I unfortunately caught what they call COVID hair, where you're rapidly losing hair, and for like 3 or 4 months, and that freaked me out. And so it's still coming back. You see it straight here, but then from like here down, it's got some body to it, so it's kind of weird. It's just that weird thing. But when it was like all up here, it was like people were saying, "Was he wearing a wig or something?" But I digress. So basically, I had a crossroads with acting or music, so I chose music for quite a while, and I'm still very much into doing stuff with my band Caroline Blue. Um, However, at the time, um, around 2011, I was working a regular job, and unfortunately, with music, I've yet to do it full time. I shouldn't say never, because at some point I want to, but it was always part time, and it's very hard to do any of the creative arts part time. I mean, my hat goes off to anybody who's working on it, trying to do it. You all know how hard it is to try to juggle things, and then if you have relationships on top of it, it's even harder. Um, a good chunk of my time I was single, but I've had relationships too, and it makes things really hard. I'm a very hard guy to be with anyway because of my drive and everything. But in 2011, all of a sudden, I found myself without a job, but I had a lot of money behind me at the time, at least for me. And I was like, well, that lineup of Caroline Blue had just broken up. That was around that time, and it was just frustrating because Caroline Blue had gotten at that point the furthest it had ever gotten. I mean, we had albums out, we had music videos out, we were playing all across New York State. We were starting to play gigs outside of New York State. We were starting to go there, and all of a sudden somebody quits because they're not having fun. And when you're still at that level and stuff, it's not like you just grab somebody, unless you can grab somebody real quick. And unfortunately, I wasn't. Caroline Blues always had a membership problem. We've always had people leaving. Either they're not having fun, or they, for whatever reason, or they want to. It inspires them to do their own thing, so they leave and do their own thing, or whatever the reason. And it was just like I was just burnt out. It was just like, man, I got to start over again. I got to go with auditions. They got to learn all the songs and get all the rehearsal and get that, and just dealing with a bunch of people and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like, okay, I was just burnt. So I said, let me take a break from this. And then, but a year prior, we had done with Caroline Blue a music video called Pain. And into 2011, actually, we did I've Seen the Light Tonight. And we also did a music video for the song Stay with my girlfriend at the time. And it was just me and her in that video. And all of a sudden it was kind of like, okay, the acting bug was starting to reawaken in me, because when I had to get that crossroads, it just seemed like, music's always been something where I've always had to, it's like a Beethoven type approach, where it's like, you got to really work at it, and really, to advance, you're always working hard. I'm not like a protege by any means, like Mozart or anybody like that. So it's always like really working your ass off just to move one foot forward. With acting, though, not to jinx myself here, but it's always been a little easier for me to do. It just, especially with certain things. I mean, nobody's going to, compare me to Oscar-winning award actors or anything like that. But for what I need to do currently and stuff like that, it's just so much easier for me to just click it on and do that instead of, especially as you get older. So I just started gravitating towards that, and I was like, okay, let's see what I can do here. I was a full-time actor for 3 years, so I got a lot further with acting than I did with music. And when I started, like I said, I was going through like Craigslist. I already had some contacts because of the music videos. Okay, so that helped a little bit too. And I was just anything I could take, extra roles, anything. My first. I said this just in an interview I had earlier in the week with Chilling with the Rick. My first role of that, I mean, there was actually there was something before that. I was kind of in a docudrama kind of a way with a local musician, Alan Smead, and it was called Smead the Movie. And it was just me though. It was like a man on the street interview, so it really wasn't that much of acting, really. The first time I actually played something that was definitely not me, and I definitely want to emphasize this, definitely not me, okay? You'll see why I'm saying that in a moment, is because it was a movie called Miss Cannibal Holocaust from SRS Cinema with Ron Bonk directing. And
Oh wow.
it wasn't anything, it's not like Cannibal Holocaust, okay? It's a different type of movie altogether, but I was a member of a gang who, no lines or anything like that, but I'm involved in a rape scene, like a gang rape scene. So welcome to acting. It's like, and that's why I said definitely not me. I'm not like that at all, you know. So it's like usually I have women hitting me, you know, if anything. So, you know, so that was kind of my start, and I just started. I can be very persistent, and you know, I started just going around, and every time I went, you know, even then at that point, I was still kind of iffy. There was you know, Jack Agaro, unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He was somebody that was on Miss Cannibal Holocaust, and he would encourage me, and he goes, "Man, you got some really good presence and stuff like that. I think you could really go far with acting. You know, maybe you should try to, you know, put all your energies there instead of dividing your energies and stuff. You know, especially in the beginning." And a lot of that helped a lot. And you know, so eventually, I just said, "Okay, let's do this." So I put Caroline Blue and anything with music in the background. I didn't even touch an instrument for like at least a year and a half, maybe even longer. I can't remember offhand because I just was committed to acting. And again, it's full time. And I knew in the beginning I couldn't really rely on my acting ability because I didn't really have much of it per se. So I had to go by my look. So that meant getting very much in the best shape I could. So I was doing like P90X, and eventually I was doing a lot of that. Running like 3 or 4 miles a day, really trying to get myself in shape, you know, because I'm a tall guy. My hair is actually dark brown. I was on a casting call one time for a movie that it got partially made. I don't know if it ever got finished back in 2011, and called Fallen Angels, and it's in post-production hell. You know, it's just nobody's ever going to see it. But he was like, "You ever thought about dyeing your hair black?" No, but could you do it for this role? Sure. So I did it, and I've done it ever since because it just seems to fit. Plus, it also gives me that native look, even though that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not trying to impersonate a Native American. It just seems I kind of look like that anyway, but I'm not. I have no Native American ancestry in me. I just play one on TV. You know, so that's how I started, and because of my size, I'm like around just a hair under 6'3", because I'm kind of a big guy. I've been told by dozens of people that I can be intimidating and have a presence and a drive and stuff like that. I tend to be cast as villains a lot, and that eventually got me into horror work, you know, because all of a sudden, and like I said, back then I wasn't really gearing up towards anything in particular. I just went with it, and it's like I just started getting more and more acting roles in horror type stuff, a lot of indie horror and stuff. And that my first year, that's where it led me to Night of Something Strange, which is my current claim to fame as the sex zombie Cornelius, who's just a lonely janitor looking for love. Any way you can. You know, so
Now,
I
know we're from technical issues now. Some of the people in the chat are not here.
yeah. Well, I'm hearing an echo from you. I don't hear any echo from me, but
yeah. So I just asking, do you have multiple like windows open?
maybe I do. Yeah, I do. Let's see. Does that work?
Let me say something.
Yeah, you're much better now. That was me. Sorry, that was me again. I'm such a newbie here, like a rube.
Oh, that's okay. I'm still hearing a little
let me just check here, because I was like, oops, I was opening windows, I was opening browser windows, trying to get this thing to go faster, and it was just ridiculous because it's frustrating because it's like, you know, yeah, it's past 5. Okay, it's 5 after 5. It's 10 after 5, and it's still not loading up. And like I said, 10 minutes before, and I'm just kind of like, what the hell? And it's only a couple years old, so it's not. God damn, all that porn. No, no. It's probably. I think I have a couple of antivirus things that are probably activating in the background, or plus the porn.
So one other thing, because I'm hearing
yeah, I'm not sure what that is. I don't think that's on my end because I
yeah,
have a fan on, but it's way back there, and I don't have anything else on. I don't have a phone on. I don't know if there's.
Let's try.
I'm gonna go play the piano. It's nice to have this here. It's like, you know, on Zoom I'm floating around in outer space, but here I'm back to Earth. You know.
Okay, guys, off. try.
Yeah, I just activated the chat too. It's like, am I a fan of Ronnie James Dio? I like a lot of Dio stuff. I mean, I'm my biggest. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of deviating here for a quick moment while you're going through technical issues.
I was gonna ask you, do you have headset or earbuds?
Yeah, I got them somewhere here. I've got a microphone. I mean, I can. I didn't even think about that because I normally use this thing. Yeah. Well, to answer that guy's question, I do like a bunch of Dio stuff, but my favorite band is Kiss. So I would love to be able to play that Dead Pit Radio. I would love to play something on that piano, but I think I'd run into a wall first. Hold on, I got to get up. Nope. From the waist down is supposed to be for OnlyFans people, but oh well. Unfortunately, I do not see any headphones here.
Okay.
My apologies.
Well,
I'm doing all sorts of rookie stuff today, and we even talked about headphones and all that stuff. But I don't know. I just assumed I'm using this thing, but I know according to this, I mean, I'm coming through clear, but I don't know if
I'm just hearing myself.
Sir William, I've closed all windows now, so
guys and gals, it's on 9. I don't know.
And hi everybody that's on there, by the way, on the chat that I'm just catching up on all that stuff. So hello and thank you all for having me here. It's awesome. I got to come here again because I got to keep looking at my new place.
There you go.
Back here. But
so I guess I can ask you another question, Wayne.
Sure.
So do you remember what your first horror film was that really got you inspired, or you said that is a great horror movie?
You mean the first one that I've done, or first one that I've seen? That's kind of
first one that you've seen
that I've seen. This is going to become a little bit of a surprise, and I hope I don't offend anybody here because I know this is all horror and stuff like that. But I was actually never really into horror as much. I was more into actions, comedies, superhero stuff, and all that stuff. Doing horror, even on an indie level, has definitely made me appreciate the genre way more because there's a lot of hard work going on. It's not, for the longest time, people were, horror. Oh yeah, that's just gore and tits, and I guess there's a faction for that too. But there can be a lot of great stories and stuff in there, and as well as some great kill shots and stuff. I do remember, there were some. Having said that, there were some like, probably the very first horror movie that I can remember that kind of traumatized me was a Trilogy of Terror, specifically the last episode with Karen Black and that little voodoo doll. That freaked me out, man. I saw that. I was much younger, and I saw that, and I couldn't sleep at night, man. I was just like, what the fuck? I thought something was going to burst out of my oven. And it's just, it's just like, wow. I mean, that was awesome. It's all stop motion and all that stuff, but it's like, it was great. I mean, you look back at it now and it's like, but back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a fan of Evil Dead 2. I saw Evil Dead 1, and for some reason it didn't do much for me. Maybe it's because I got so used to, because I saw Evil Dead 2 first, and I got used to that and everything. So obviously that's kind of like Evil Dead 1, but with much bigger budget and more scope with everything and stuff like that. I do love a lot of that Evil Dead stuff. I mean, and that's nice because there's a little bit of that humor in Night of Something Strange, although they kind of go overboard with the toilet humor and everything. I mean that. So it's, I mean, if you haven't seen Night of Something Strange, first of all, you can see it online on YouTube for free, but that's a PG-13 version of it, and which still boggles my mind to this day why there is a PG-13 version of that. I'm sure it's probably because of money, but it's like it's neutered. So, there was a lot of hype back in the day, back when it came out in 2016, like, oh, horror movies will never be the same, all this stuff, this big hype and everything. But, if somebody were to see that and then all of a sudden watch that PG-13 version and be like, a bunch of shit, it's like, that was a big thing with me. The first Halloween actually freaked me out as well. That was something where, my bedroom door was open and I'm just like, should I shut it? It's like, I don't, it's like, and it's like, after you watch that, it was like that thing where all your senses are heightened. You're in a dark room and everything just becomes extremely heightened and every little noise you hear. So I always remembered that. There's a couple other ones too. I mean, I always appreciated the Friday the 13th movies. I remember there's a theater here called the Hollywood Theater in Syracuse, New York. And it's one of those theaters, like, they don't do it anymore, but they used to play the Rocky Horror Picture Show like every weekend, one of those type of theaters. So they were, whenever they had the Friday the 13th movies come in, the place was packed. The one that I saw, and I can't even remember which one I saw, but all I remember, the place was packed and the place was going crazy whenever women would lift their shirts. It was just like, wow. And I had another one in mind. It just kind of went out of my head right there.
It's okay. Now I don't want to keep talking about technical issues, but Wes says if you could turn down your speakers a little bit, it might help.
Does that help?
Yeah, I'm not hearing myself as much.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So I may just take it off.
And Blair, yes, yeah, I do a little cameo in the barn too. That's me with the big frizzy hair. Yeah, I used to have a big perm. That was like when I was first doing music. So, I'm always like, it wasn't of the time period though. Every time I jump into something or any project I'm in that jumps into something, it's like at least 10 years later, after everything's already passed by and stuff. So,
right. Let me see if I have any questions. I think the guys are playing around with each other instead of asking questions.
Steve has some questions about the gang rape scenes. That's a movie called Miss Cannibal Holocaust. If you go to SRS Cinema, I think that movie is still available on DVD, or I don't know about Blu-ray, but I know it's definitely on DVD. I think it's still available there. I'm not 100% sure.
My husband has been accused of liking weird rape movies. Like he's got a movie over here on the shelf called The Infernal Rapist. So there you go. But I did not know you were in the barn too. I must have missed
yeah, it's just a quick cameo. I believe it's just I've got my copy. I still have to watch it yet. It's on my to-do list. But it's just like a high school photo kind of thing or something. It's like a yearbook photo or something like that. Unless they did something else with it, which I actually I was talking with Justin Seelman, the director, about doing a little bit more, but I guess there was conflicts somewhere, and it didn't happen. But hopefully, with some future project, I'd love to be working with him and Zane Hirschberger and their whole production crew, cast crew, everybody like that. I would love to get on board with one or more of their productions. They do some great work. They're winning. I know the Barn 2 is winning a whole bunch of awards right now, and there's a horror anthology called Cryptids that I'm in one of the scenes with Joe Bob Briggs.
Cool.
Yeah, I play a man in black, like the movie Men in Black, like a government agent, and it did get nominated recently for Best Supporting Actor. One of these festivals. Unfortunately, it didn't win, but that was nice to always have. To be nominated and stuff. It's always nice to get a little recognition. So.
Bliss says, Dana, you should have worn Wayne out west in UB. Yeah, probably should have.
What's UB?
That's Uncle Bill or Sir William.
Steve's a big fan of the R. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, they're my Dead Pit buddies. They do Dead Pit Radio. They've been doing the Dead Pit Radio podcast for years now.
Welcome. Nice to see you guys. That's okay. I mean, there was a kind of a live chat I did. Either it was earlier this year or last year. I can't even remember. It was really cool. It was with a guy that I was in the very first band I was in called X-Rated. In Syracuse, New York, in the local hard rock metal scene. And he had his own kind of podcast going, and it's on my YouTube page. So if you want to see it, and there was a guy who popped in who initially I didn't recognize. And then I was later, oh, it's that guy. Okay. He's from the scene and stuff. And I guess he was a big fan of Howard Stern. So he would be on there going like, who are you and why should I care? Kind of questions like that. So if that pops in here, well, it's okay. I mean, and I've had online, part of being an actor or a musician or any type of creative is, when you put your stuff out for public consumption, they don't always consume it. It doesn't always go down easy. How's that? And so you get some criticism, and that's fair because, if you want to just have positive reviews, stay home and keep it home.
Yeah. Right. Blair has another question. He says, does Wayne have a favorite horror movie celebrity you met?
I haven't met too many of them. Like I said, Joe Bob Briggs was one of them. Brink Stevens actually has a little cameo in Night of Something Strange. I got to meet her. She's very sweet. She just came in, did her thing, very happy. Wasn't no ego, no attitude at all. And Joe's the same way. I mean, they're just there, and they just do what they do. I can't remember his name. I didn't meet him, but he was supposed to be in Night of Something Strange. He was in The Hills Have Eyes, the bald guy.
Oh, Michael Berry.
Yeah, he with ears, and he's got that sweat condition and stuff like that. He was supposed to actually be the innkeeper or the motel keeper, or however you want to say it on there, I guess. But I guess there was complications in the negotiations, and unfortunately he couldn't do it. But Al, I'm horrible with names. I just remember Al. He's the one who actually played the role in the movie. He did a great job. So,
Wes had to put in here. He says, hell, we are asking questions. You other people in here aren't saying anything. Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Deadpool Radio.
Feel
free to if you guys add me on Facebook, for example. I'll always I have my traditional greeting that I always post if your wall allows it, and I just say thank you for the ad request. How everything's going? Mind if I send you invites? So I always ask. I'm not one of those people. Most people, what they do is they'll just bombard you with all sorts of pages and stuff. And while that has its time and place, I actually had somebody say, "Hey, my brother, stop it," kind of a thing. So I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize." So I always ask first, and if they don't, then they don't. But if you like it, or if you reply, that's sure. I always reply with a Wayne's World GIF.
Mm-hmm.
You can pronounce it either way, and it's like excellent. So it's like, so that's just something I do.
So, what is, well, you talked about the one movie, but is there anything else in the works, horror or otherwise, that you can talk about? I know some new things you can't talk about, or I guess legal reasons.
You mean in terms of in being inspired in the beginning?
Or just things that projects that are coming up. Are there any
Projects that are coming up? Okay. Well, I can tell you right now, there's these aren't necessarily upcoming projects, but they're projects that have just recently been released. There's a film that one of the films is Johnny Z. It is a zombie movie, but it's not like, it's from the same director as Night of Something Strange, Jonathan Strahan, but it's not like Night of Something Strange is kind of like it's got like that Evil Dead 2 kind of humor to it, but it's like everything in that movie, everything's in overdrive. There's a scene like where I'm doing something with a tampon. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, and there's a lot of gross stuff in there and everything like that. I mean, it might be tame now since it was from like almost 10 years ago and everything, but the movie is more action. It's futuristic. It's also a lot of martial arts, and I play a character called Monster Boy in that, and I got some fight scenes in there, and it's really cool. It's a big upgrade you'll see if you go from Night of Something Strange to Johnny Z, you'll see cinematography wise, it's a big upgrade. So that's out right now. That's on Amazon Prime right now. I believe there's going to be Blu-rays and DVDs out of that within this month or next, or very soon at the very least. And I believe it's streaming on Apple and a few other platforms. I'm not 100% sure about that. But so that's out. Another movie that I did called Tales of Dracula 2, Dracula Meets the Wolfman. That's in the other direction from Night of Something Strange. The Tales of Dracula movies are in the classic horror. But we're kind of doing, it's pretty much the universal Dracula, not the sparkling Dracula, not the I have to be with you forever, my dear, or I will be cursed for eternity. It's none of that stuff. It's more like, my dear, I'm going to rip your heart out now. That kind of the monster Dracula. Not
right. That's the kind of I like.
Yeah, I mean, he basically, there's no mercy. He's he's kind of like Doctor Doom, Doctor Doom and Darth Vader. Basically, it's kind of the other way around. Actually, it seems like those were more inspirations. The original Count, Bella and and Lee and all those guys, they were more of an inspiration for there. But the sequel, Tales of Dracula 2, that just came out. That's on. You have to go to Tales of Dracula on their Facebook page, and there's a link there, and it goes to a page. It's I don't know really what it's called. It's powered by Vimeo. And by the way, Johnny Z is also on Vimeo, but it just says it's based on wolfbaneproductions.com, I guess. So it's some kind of, I'm not familiar with the streaming service that he's using. That's why I'm kind of having a little problem describing it. Yeah, Evil Dead was STDs. That's exactly what Super Batman Nerd said. It's basically, yeah, it's that's how it's spread. Just to say that in coming back to Night of Something Strange, like for example, shooting the zombies in the head does nothing. You have to hit the other head, or for the women, it's down in the taco, So, but yeah, and they go to town with the STD angle and stuff like that. So that one's out right now, and that's unfortunately that there wasn't enough to make that a full feature film. It's like 45 minutes long, so it still falls under a short film category. But that's a sequel. The first one, Tales of Dracula, that's available. You can actually watch that for free on YouTube, and there's no
Mm-hmm.
censoring or stuff because it's classic horror, so it's more using your imagination and stuff. And I'm a little different. I've got this hair. It's more based on Vlad the Impaler, kind of his look. Although again, my hair is longer. My eyes are whited out. I've got the fangs in more of a modern place, mainly because for whatever reason the fangs that I have, and they're the scarecrow fangs, and they're the real good ones. They can't seem to fit over my back teeth like the traditional one. So it's more modern in the front, which kind of gives that Dracula a little bit of its own look. And I really don't deviate from the classic Draculas like Bela and Christopher Lee or anything like that. I pretty much stay on target. I'll add a few things here, and it depends. They add a few things too, but for what I nicknamed the director's name is Joe DeMuro, so I call it the DeMuro verse. Okay, because everyone's just a touch different here and there. You know, the Wolfman's a touch different. Frankenstein's monster is a little bit different. First movie has Victoria Frankenstein instead of traditional male Frankenstein. So that's out now, and again in October and November, or possibly early next year. That's when the DVDs, Blu-rays, hopefully will come out as well. In terms of horror, there's not too much else coming up at the moment. I just did a quick cameo for a local production here called the Bondini Boys with Jeff Forsythe directing, and that's more of a crime drama type of thing. It was just a killer and an assassin in there, just going in there and just wrecking havoc and breaking stuff. Usually, I break stuff that I'm not supposed to break. That's one of my. That's when I know it's a good set. When I break something, they had me wearing sunglasses at night. Corey loves that, and and of course I had to sit on them, so I had to break it. I mean, I did something strange. I broke a lot of stuff, and I actually injured myself a lot. Plus, unfortunately, some of the actors too. But I'm always breaking something on set. I'm breaking stuff where I'm sweating through the makeup and the adhesives and everything. There's a movie. I can't remember. I think it's I just saw it too. I was just going over the script today, and it's Dead Man's Something from Dirty Sweater Productions. I'm so sorry if you guys are listening to this. I'm so sorry that I can't remember the name of the thing right now. But I'm just like, for a while we were just in discussions about that. So, and I've been so busy with stuff. But I've been working on the part. It's just a small, like, little cameo. But I think my skin's going to be painted green. We know Spanish, kind of a thing. So it's a little more sci-fi. Horror wise, I can't think of anything at the moment right now because you got the Tales of Dracula stuff done, the Johnny Z stuff done. There's a few other things that we're talking. I mean, it's kind of funny. The thing that is probably the most immediate coming up. Last year. Well, that was a nice glitch right there. I don't know if my camera just hiccuped or something. I saw that, Blair. I saw your question. I'll get to that in a moment. As most bands do, especially, you do a music video to follow, with songs and stuff like that. So there's a new song called My Fingers that Caroline Blue has yet to release. And it's more of it was made for a soundtrack for another film, but unfortunately I had to withdraw it from there for various reasons. So I decided to make a music video of it, but it's kind of like a short horror film almost. We're in this beautiful house, Hillcrest Jepson Estates in Casanova, New York, with Linda and Brian Osborne. And it's like an old Victorian type house. It's just gorgeous. And this basically what's happening is I'm playing this guy who's an asshole. What a stretch, right? No. But he's an asshole, and he wants to own the place. So he's gonna get it one way or the other. And he finds out it's not so easy. He gets in there and he encounters a woman. It's kind of like on the lyrics. The lyrics are a little more like almost like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. It's like by the song, it's kind of like he's bored and he wants to get out of here. Then all of a sudden he sees this woman and he approaches her. He's kind of unsure whether things are going to happen. And then they get into a room and they're about to do aerobics. And that's a typical cock rock type song in a way. But the way the video goes, it's kind of horror where the guy he's going around, he's expecting, he runs into some people, he acts like a jerk towards him and stuff, but then he sees this girl and he's got to have her, but she doesn't say anything. Obviously, it's a music video, and she kind of leads him all over the place until we get to the final third act scene part of it, and then he gets quite a surprise, and I'll just leave it at that. And that's where the horror elements really come into play. In there, it's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing that it's going to be like, oh my god! But I mean, first of all, it's my first full production music video that I'm involved in. I mentioned earlier a music video called "I've Seen the Light Tonight" and "Stay." Those are songs from Caroline Blue off of the album "Not for the Innocent." I did not direct those, but I was basically the person who kind of wrote the script for those, the screenplay, kind of like the directions on what people were doing and stuff. And then I talked with the director. Both of them are actually Ron Bonk, who was from Miss Cannibal Holocaust. Again, using those connections, you know. But in this one's like full. It's from WWJ Entertainment LLC. This is so I'm directing it, I'm producing it. Michael J. Rudolph is actually the cinematographer. And when I said I'm not necessarily the camera person, close friend of mine, her name is Sarah Randall. She's actually running the camera, and you know, but I'm the director and producer, and I'm also the main asshole, you know, in more ways than one. So that's kind of coming up, and then there's another video we already started to call for a song called "Won't Be Home Tonight," which that one's off of Not for the Innocent, and that's more. It's not horror, but there's it has a sad kind of ending, but you know, a lot of those songs are based on my past relationships, and there was a lot of crashing and burning. So,
Right.
what horror movie icon would I like to play?
The horror.
Well, it's kind of hard to beat Dracula. Are you talking about more classic or more modern, or both? I mean, I would love to. It doesn't matter to me if I'm in a mask or anything like that. I mean, if I could somehow get into, you know, I'm a big guy. There are actually some movies where I was supposed to be like the main monster, and for whatever reason, negotiations didn't work, and so I wasn't able to do it. But that doesn't mean that can't happen in the future. Famous ones, though, that's a good question, actually. I mean, being somebody who could, you know, a Jason or a Michael kind of character would be fun to play, I think, you know, because no lines, you know, but it's the intimidation factor. And that's a good question. I have to think about that. That'll be rolling in the. I'd like to play somebody. I like to play. You know, sometimes I go a little in the Cheeseville, I guess you want to say, the kind of little overboard, because villains allow you to do that. Villains allow you to kind of go a little overboard and to overact a little bit and stuff like that. You don't have to be like, you know, a lot of acting today is through your eyes. You know, you're not doing so many things like this and stuff like that. It's more like you're kind of standing there, and it's a little. On the one hand, I can see where some people say that's a little lazy, but on the other hand, it can also be more intense, especially when it's stuff like agony, you know, where somebody's not going like that. They're just, you know, it's all inside, but you can really see it, or you can see the pain, or you can see even just going through really hard decisions, you know, and you can kind of see the wheels turning and stuff like that, trying to get that going instead of someone looking like they're just reading pages off, you know, words off of a script. So, but I would love, you know, I'd like to play villains, you know, a real good villain. And it doesn't have to be anything, it doesn't have to be like a replication. I was on an interview a long time ago. This isn't a villain, but I remember somebody saying, asking me a question about The Crow and saying about a remake of it. I'm a big fan of the first Crow and Brandon Lee, and I'm a huge fan of Bruce Lee. And at the time of the interview, I said, "Now they just why bother?" And everything. But if you can come up with a really good story and really good direction, really good acting and all that stuff, I'd be willing to give it a shot to see how it goes. Because sometimes, you know, you're never going to satisfy everybody with what you do, but like this isn't horror, but like Jumanji, that the remake of that did very well. You know, a lot of people like that, and but the first one with Robin Williams was great too. So it's like, you know, unfortunately, it kind of seems like more often than not the remakes kind of fall flat on their face compared. You know, although I saw the Evil Dead remake, and I think if it wasn't called Evil Dead, I think it would have. It was I thought it was a good movie. It's just, you know, it's I don't know. It wasn't to me like it kind of took a lot of the humor out, and it was kind of like being more like I said, if it didn't have the Evil Dead name on it, I think it would have been better off, because all of a sudden now you got comparisons to the other one. It's not like the other one, so in a lot of ways. So, you know,
yeah, I think I wouldn't have hated it as much as I did and do if it hadn't been called Evil Dead.
yeah, I mean, there was some good stuff in there. I think so. I mean, it's subjective. I mean, everyone's got their opinion and everything like that, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. But, you know, again, once you put that label on it, all of a sudden now we're in a different ballpark. Okay, so it's like
what that got me thinking about that new Exorcist movie that just came out. The Exorcist Believer.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that yet?
Would you believe I am one of I'm gonna get hit with my horror cred is all gonna be shot here. There are so many movies that I never watched for whatever reason. I think I was just too busy doing stuff, especially earlier with music. My tagline kind of in a way with that is I wear leather pants on stage, and before that I was in bands that wore spandex and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, I'm a big Kiss fan, so I wore my Paul Stanley influence on my sleeve a lot. Not as much nowadays as I used to, but so I'm shaking my ass on stage and all this stuff like that. And I just figured, you know, hell, one day I'm going to break my hip doing that, and I'm just going to be stuck in a wheelchair. I can catch up on movies then. I mean, I haven't seen. I think I saw briefly an episode of Game of Thrones. I haven't seen God, there's so many things, but I haven't seen The Exorcist. I haven't even seen the original movie. I haven't even seen fully the original Psycho. At one point I had some downtime, so I started like, okay, I want to watch the original Dracula. Okay, and I even read the original Dracula for that. That was part of my homework, though. You know, and stuff, but that it doesn't last long. You know, on a totally kind of unrelated note, I used to be a big video game fanatic. I haven't played video games in years, although I do keep up. I have a PlayStation 5, for example. I played it once to make sure it works, and then it's just been sitting there collecting dust because I can't justify the time. There's too many things that I'm doing, whether it is with the creative arts or just trying to survive. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, contrary to some people, you know, for some people, you know, not to get political here, just a touch, okay, because I can't stand politics. But, you know, for people, no matter what's going on, there's always going to be some people that are doing well, and there's always going to be some people that are not going to be doing well. And right now, I'm one of those people that financially I'm in hard times at the moment, in a sense. So if you want to make donations to help WWJ get a life fund, you feel free. You know, well, what a whole wind up for a long joke that didn't land. You know, so
Darren does have a question. Wayne wants to know what's your favorite music concert that you've been to, and are you a fan of thrash metal?
My favorite concert, normally I would say Kiss. I mean, especially like you know, I didn't see them back in their heyday. I saw them in the 80s, and I was like, I think it was 8th or 14th row for the Animalize show, and that blinded me. The Kiss logo was flashing so much in the morning. I woke up, and it's like that's all I saw for a while, you know, and it deafened me, of course, and everything like that. And I saw the Metallica shows later. No, unfortunately, I missed all the earlier stuff. Uh, Early thrash stuff. I mean, I love the early Metallica albums, the early Megadeth albums. Um, I have some of the Testament albums, but I haven't really. I can't remember. I think I have listened to them, but I can't remember them at the moment. Um, it's more of the popular stuff. Back when I got introduced to hard rock and metal, I kind of got thrown into the hair metal stuff, but also, sorry, I'm sweating. That's part of me. I sweat my ass off all the time. But I was also into the classic rock. I mean, I'm all over the place when it comes to music. I like classical music. I even like disco to a degree. I like pop music, new age music. I'm constantly listening to different things and stuff. But and actually, Caroline Blue is actually we've played like Seek and Destroy live. We've played For Whom the Bell Tolls. So some of the early Metallica stuff. Plus, it's like if you're playing hard rock metal and you want to get into certain bars, you got to play Enter Sandman. I don't mind the song. I mean, I understand why people are sick of it, but that's a whole different argument about cover bands and original bands and stuff like that. But there was some earlier stuff, especially back then. Some Exodus, I think I was listening to. But I was also, again, I was all over the place. It was primarily hair metal, but I was also listening to Yngwie. I was listening to stuff that Steve Vai was involved in, but at the same time listening to stuff like Prince was in. I mean, so it's like kind of going all over the place and stuff.
Since you are a big fan of Kiss, I have to ask this. Have you seen Trick or Treat?
Yes, I have. Ozzy and Gene songs by Fastway. Yeah. That was a fun movie. With Sammy there. If I was back in shape and stuff like that, he's not really a major horror guy. I mean, that's that other question.
But I was going to say, what other horror movie has Skippy from Family Ties in it, playing heavy metal rock fan? I don't know of any other than that one.
Well, it's weird because for going with history and stuff, if you remember early Kiss when they like around the time of 75, like Alive and stuff, they had that element of danger to them. They were very, they had those photo shoots with naked women and the orgies and all the blood, and especially Gene. I mean, he was really playing up the whole bat lizard / vampire / before it settled on demon. If you look at the real early promos of Kiss, he was, I think, a real early ones that had him as a vampire, but that got replaced by bat lizard. I mean, and that one interview he did was a Mike Douglas show. He's out there and he's all hunched down and he's like, and he goes, "So are you're evil or something like that?" And he goes, "Yes." And you got Dottie. I can't remember her last name. She was like, "Oh, aren't you just a good Jewish boy underneath all that?" He goes, "You would only know." And she goes, "You can't fool me. You got the hook," or something, whatever she said about that. So she knew right away, that it was just an act and stuff. But that was major paraphrasing on my part. So I do that a lot.
But there are some other, like I guess what could be considered rock horror movies. I just want to throw some of these out there, see if you've seen them or haven't watched them.
Sure.
Black Rose is one.
What is it?
Black Rose.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Rocktober Blood is another one.
No. Here's one. It's not. Well, I guess you could kind of put it in the thrash category, but I'm not sure where it goes. I saw we have a bar here. We still have. It's called the Lost Horizon, and back in the 80s and the 90s, any like of the famous bands, especially the hair metal bands or anything that kind of was within that orbit, that couldn't play like the War Memorial, like play in an arena or stuff. They would play in the Lost Horizon. So, for example, before they became famous, I saw Guns N' Roses there with a band called EZO from Japan opening up. I saw Lita Ford there. I saw Yngwie Malmsteen there. I saw Cannibal Corpse there. I saw when the person I was going to bring up was King Diamond. Saw 2 shows of that there. Not Merciful Fate, unfortunately, but I would like to have checked that out especially back in the day. Um, but like Metal Church, Anthrax, I guess one that I didn't see Twisted Sister played there. Um, I saw Cinderella there, Brittany Fox. I mean, just all sorts of bands. And then we also had, I should say, in between the War Memorial and the Lost Horizon was the Landmark Theater. So that was kind of in between. And I saw Motley Crue on the Shout at the Devil tour with Rat opening up there. And I think I saw a couple. I saw Alice Cooper there with Vinnie Vincent, and the Vinnie Vincent Invasion opening up there. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I mean, I was just actually talking to this very beautiful woman recently who was saying, brought up Testament, and I go, yeah, I definitely need to listen to some of that, and I think that was her. I might have mistaken it with somebody else, but I thought we were talking.
Speaking
See,
of
this is what happens when you drink this stuff. This is my endorsement. When you drink this stuff, it screws you up.
I drink energy drinks and Mountain Dew. So, yeah, I'm guilty of all that.
I don't drink any energy drinks anymore. I got addicted to Diet Mountain Dew for a while, and a long time ago, when in my gaming phase, I was that stereotypical big jug of Mountain Dew and cheesy poofs.
Yeah.
And sitting there playing that damn game until like Final Fantasy or something like that, until you could get to a save point. Because back then, they didn't have save points by just clicking on your controller. You had to find those damn places, and sometimes it took quite a while to find those save joints. Save places. Points.
When you mentioned Anthrax, that made me think of another horror movie from like, I think it was early 90s, and it was called Pledge Night. And Joey Belladonna was in it for a short time. As a pledge, he becomes the victim of a hazing accident. He's pushed into a vat of acid. They don't know it's acid, but somebody must have gotten mixed up, and it fries his face off, basically. But Joey Belladonna played the pledge.
Well, here's something that you may or may not know. Joey Belladonna, I don't know him. I've never met him, unfortunately, but a couple of things. Number one, he ranges from the Oswego, New York area, which is like maybe 30 minutes away from Syracuse. And he has, I think he still has it, but for a while, when he wasn't in Anthrax, he was in this local band. He was playing drums and singing, and he was doing like Journey tunes and stuff. Journey, Foreigner, that kind of stuff. I think it was called Big Chief Way. And a friend of mine, his name is Monster Mike Merrifield, actually was a drummer for Joey Belladonna's solo tour. So one of the times they went to, I think they went to South America, Europe, Japan, a couple places and stuff like that. So, and he's around here at times, and he especially back in the day, you could occasionally see him at the Lost Horizon and stuff. Back then, I didn't really know, so I mean, there was just so many bands. I mean, Typo Negative like packed the Horizon, and I don't know why, for whatever reason, I didn't show up until like I was so late. I got in there, and by the time I finally got through the people, the place was, I heat up really quick, so the place is like a furnace for me. I get there, they hit their last note and they're off stage. War has actually played there too at the Lost Horizon. I remember getting blasted I was in the pit and I got blasted with gore blood, like straight in the face. And it's like nothing like getting hit with a hose full of whatever that stuff is that they spray out into the crowds. Tons of bands I've seen there. And Typo, yeah. And I kind of bring up Typo because the last show Caroline Blue did last year. It's on Caroline Blue's YouTube page. We do a cover of Christian Woman, the single version. And it's gotten a lot of favorable reviews and likes and stuff, because I could hit pretty close to all those notes down there. I've been told I'm kind of like if Paul Stanley and Peter Steele had a baby, as horrifying as that might produce in terms of the image, vocally. So with a little, I guess there's a song we do called Pain, where my voice kind of gets a little Dave Mustaine-ish. So
Well, I
Well, I
wanted to
wanted to
switch
switch
gears a
gears a
little
little
bit,
bit.
because
Because
we haven't
we haven't
talked about
talked
this
about
yet,
this
but
yet,
I
but
thought
I
we
thought
might
we might
talk about
talk
it.
about it.
Your,
Your,
I don't know
I
if you
don't know
would
if you
call
would
it a
call it a
career or a
career or a
partial
part
career, but
career, but
haunted
haunted
attraction.
attraction.
excuse me.
Haunted
Haunted
attraction
attraction.
that you've been a
Haunted
Been a
part
part
attractions.
of.
I do want to mention one thing because I forgot it, and those guys are going to kill me because I forgot it.
of. Okay.
Because I forgot this about upcoming things. Okay, this is a big one actually. This is a real big one. So that's why I'm sorry, guys. That happens to me every once. Parts of my brain just kind of phase in and out. But I'm slated to do a voiceover. Like I'm doing the voice for a lead character in a video game. The role is CSI detective Kenneth Manning, and the reason it brought it up is because it's a slasher horror video game with like kind of grindhouse in it. It's called The Devil's Apostles, and you can find that on Facebook. It's being developed in the UK. The lead developer's name is Joe Wheeler. He's pretty much the head of everything there, and the dialogue and the script and everything is being written by a man called Beretta Simmons. And right now, currently, they have an Indiegogo campaign going on. So if you go on there and you check out the Devil's Apostles, you should be able to find it there. They got some cool perks there and everything like that. I even bought one, and it's only like about $30. I'm not sure if that's US or pounds, but when the perks is, the game is going to be done no matter what. Okay, and I'm definitely in the game because for $30 I was able to get my head in a jar. It had been chopped off. They had to chop off some of the hair too, but I've already seen a rough of it. And I'll be putting that in my promotions and stuff soon and stuff like that. So that's supposed to be released late 2024, early 2025, somewhere in that ballpark. That's what they're aiming for at least. And it's supposed to be, like I said, it's supposed to be a gore fest and a lot of horror and stuff. Kenneth, actually, the part of the storyline is he's kind of a retired CSI detective, and he ends up he's trying to get away from it all. He's all burnt out and everything, and he goes down to this bar in Louisiana, down New Orleans area, and he goes there and he actually gets drugged because that bar happens to be they're drugging people and bringing them in, for sacrifices and stuff. It's one of those type of movies. But he manages to hopefully he manages to escape. It depends on the player, I guess. And if I'm voicing it, I'm hoping you escape because I don't want to get killed. And eventually he comes back with a team. So there's all that too. I mean, and that's as much as I can probably reveal about that because that's on their Indiegogo campaign. But yeah, so if you're in the video games and stuff like that, and that's starting to shape up. They got a YouTube page. But even on, if you can't get to their YouTube page, I mean, there's because I can't remember offhand what it is because it's not that name, it's something else. I think it's under the production company's name, which escapes me at the moment. But if you go to the Devil's Apostles, a video game, that's their page on Facebook, or go to their Indiegogo campaign, you can see clips of how it's going. It's not the finished product. They're still in the process of rendering stuff and everything like that. And obviously they haven't done the lead character yet per se because they're waiting for my voice. So everything's going in stages and stuff like that. But they got a lot of it done already, at least up to a point. So it's not like they're starting from scratch. They just need a lot of help financially to get to the finish line. So I did mention that. So that was that. And the question leading into horror haunted houses and stuff like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a movie. This is going to segue into this. There was a movie, an indie movie that I was a part of that, unfortunately, that's also languishing in post-production, and I don't think it's ever going to be released. It was called The Doll Maker. Now, in that, I did kind of play a character. His name is Harold Merkins, I believe that's the name. I think I have the first name wrong. It's Merkins is definitely the second one, but the first one I might have it wrong. But he's kind of like a Jason Michael kind of character, except he's a lot fatter. They actually had to put a SWAT vest on me and then put all this stuff on me, so I look like this big, huge guy. And I've got this mask on. It's made out of fiberglass, and it's a baby face. Okay, and he no lines, of course, and he's going around killing people and stuff. And there's a extensive storyline and all that and stuff like that. And so I did parts of that, and it just never got past a certain point, I guess. But where it relates to your question is they ran two different types of kind of like haunted attractions during Halloween. The first one was called Swamp Road Terror because they had this huge amount of land out in an area called Central Square in central New York. And so there was a forest area, and then right next to it was like this kind of like house/trailer that was there. Okay, that was supposed to be the doll maker. That's the name of the movie is The Doll Maker, and that's me, Harold Merkins. I guess we'll go with that. And that's his house. Okay, so the part of the attraction was people going through the forest, getting freaked out, all the various things, which leads to the end to the house where I am. And I blew out my voice screaming, in there because, and it's tough work because, it's like I had to, like, I was the first, like, kind of scare where I just appear and I scream out. And then I had to run, remember I'm wearing this stupid vest and everything like that. So I'm bigger than everything too. So I'm trying to fit through doorways and stuff to get to the second point where I'm in total darkness in a closet-like area, and I emerge out of there. And then there's a third area that I'm supposed to appear, and there's a maze in there, and there's all the atmosphere and the music and all that stuff. So that was a lot of fun. And I remember there was these girls, like 3 or 4 girls towards the end that came in. They were totally freaking out. They were screaming like crazy. I think one of them wet themselves, if I remember right. It took them a while just to get into the house because, the one person was like, I want to go in there. And the other 2 were like, no, we don't want to go into this place. So they had to finally got in there. I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe they got drunk enough or something because they were drinking. And they were screaming their butts off. And it was a lot of fun when you do that. But man, when I do stuff like horror, like any type of action type of thing, I go 100% and more if that's possible. So when I'm yelling, I'm not just like holding back. I'm going full out. And while there's a way to do that, obviously the guys like the thrash metal, the modern metal, all that stuff, they know how to do screaming night after night after night. At the time, I didn't know anything about how to do that. I know a little bit now because there's certain songs I'm coming up with that require a little bit there. There's a song, to deviate just a moment, there's a song from Caroline Blue called Out of My Life, I Want You, where in the chorus, it's like, I want you, I want you, I want you out of my life. But it's like I couldn't do even that. That's kind of poor, but I couldn't even do that back in the day. So we had to have my microphone. We had to put distortion through it, so it's like very mechanical, and that's the version that's on there right now. So, so there's a way to do it, but I didn't know about that back then, so I just blew out my throat, and I mean, I knew about singing from the diaphragm and stuff like that, but when you're doing stuff that type of singing, it requires special techniques in a sense. I mean, it's grounded in traditional singing, but then you have to do a lot more to get the vocal fries and do it safely. Otherwise you'll blow your throat if you don't do. And I've done that. There was a movie I was in a production a long time ago called Brackish, and I had to speak like that and yell, like, you are the chosen one, but I had to do that for hours, and I blew up my voice again because I was just like, it's, again, I didn't know about proper technique, and I'm not an expert at it by any means, but I try, and but that's, but you got to give 100% when you do that with everything, but I mean, especially something that requires intensity and drive and stuff like that, because I remember, we had the second haunted place, which was called Booville and Beeville. There's another town called Baldwinsville close by, and I was playing Merkins again, and there's a photo of me next to the sign where they changed the town sign, like welcome to Syracuse, welcome, and welcome to Baldwinsville, and they changed it to Booville for the duration of, it was like a couple weeks where they were doing that. And this was like this huge complex, like this big building, and it was divided into 2 or 3 different horror areas. And I was involved in a bunch of those. And I remember one of them, they had this large like gate, because the area is like an incinerator, and there's people with chainsaws, and you got that whole environment going, and like it's some kind of like demented basement, So you had these people with the masks and the sweat and the heat and the way the lighting is, there's a lot of red and everything. but they had this fence there, and you got to remember, like I said, that mask that I was wearing, it's made out of fiberglass. And at one point, I got a little too into it, and there was people walking by, and I jumped and hit the fence, okay, to scare them. But the thing was, there's no padding on the inside of the mask, so it's just pure fiberglass. And so when I hit that fence, I went right into, and it just smashed me, and I took the mask off, and I wasn't bleeding, but it was like all red, right over here and stuff and everything. Because I just, no guts, no glory. It's, although at one point I was at a hiding spot, and this one drunk guy went by, and every night, I should say, they would hand you various power tools and stuff like that. And that night I had a power drill, and I'm up there, and I go up there, and I got the thing up there. And he goes, "Really?" Yeah. Like that. And that's one of those moments where you just want to go, "Yeah, really," really into him and stuff like that. But he was drunk, and my hat goes off to all these people who work in the haunted house, because sometimes there's people that just give them a lot of grief and stuff like that. They're trying to do their best and stuff, and there's people that are really jaded and stuff like that. And that's fine and stuff like that. But there's people who aren't, and you don't. There's no reason to ruin the fun of everybody. Just because if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. If you're that jaded, but it's you never know these days. It just takes like one word and snap. The person all of a sudden now becomes live action, and it's like waiting for that story to hit,
Yeah. I love haunted attractions. I've dragged my husband to several of them in Kentucky. And he's just like, we have to go to another one of these again, because I don't know if he's scared of them, or he just really doesn't like them. I think he's scared of them, because he says, I don't want people touching me. I don't want people coming up and kind of,
like they come up and they grab your ankles a little bit here. Yeah, that's that. I was involved in doing that a few times. That freaks people out. Stuff like that. And it's weird, like that first one in Swamp Road Terror. I remember they had a section that was like a maze, so everything's black. They've got like this very slow strobe going on, a little bit of a mist going on, and they have this music on that is really trippy. And I'm in there, and sometimes when you're one of the actors and stuff like that, it's not like at least for me, okay. I don't like take the mask off and go and grab a soda or something and just go off to the side. Oh, they're coming. Oh, okay. I'm kind of there. Once I'm there, I'm there, so I'm ready. But when you're in that maze, for example, and you got that music going on, and the lights and the slow strobe starts playing with your head a little bit. I don't know if that's part of the. I'm sure the music was a big part of that, because I'm starting to kind of freak out a little bit, kind of hoping somebody shows up so I can kind of redirect that energy, because it's kind of like, what the fuck is going on here, man? This is music, and you're just all alone. It's like dark except for that, and your mind starts playing, because your mind will freak you out. Your mind will play all sorts of stuff to you. And part of that's part of the fun. That was a lot of thing with classic horror, right? It's like they didn't have to show a lot of stuff. They showed enough where your head would be like, okay, what your head is filling in the blanks, and sometimes what you're filling up with, depending on who you are, what those blanks that are being filled are worse than what could be on the screen, especially back in the day, because nowadays it's like, there a lot of people, from what I've seen, because I watch a lot of reaction videos and stuff like that, they laugh a lot, when there's horror and everything. And I know it doesn't mean they don't care in a sense. That's just something that it just seems like these days, it's kind of like almost like a fashion thing. It's almost like, that's a way to deal with the horror. Instead of freaking out and screaming, you laugh, so it kind of helps dilute it, I guess. I guess I don't know, because I really don't laugh, unless it's something like Evil Dead 2, like something like that. If Bruce is doing something, there's always going to be some kind of laugh. Bubba Hotep. Right. That was another one of the movies. I love Bubba Hotep.
I do
too. That is just, God. I don't think I still don't have it on DVD. I don't think I got to snag it. I don't know. I have this DVD collection that's just like collecting dust somewhere. Because again, I'm not watching the stupid things because it's like I one day I'm gonna have the time to do that, but or the luxury of time, I should say. But man, I remember watching that movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself with that. Not in the Deadpool way, you know. I just want to clarify that for the guys on the chat there. I didn't enjoy myself that way, but I still see you guys there. Although it seems like we kind of stopped at the
the
Testament, Megadeth, and Slayer live. That must have been a pretty intense show, man. For you, Chris, that must have been God. That must have been skull crushing there. And and Darren saw like Anthrax supporting Metallica, Master of Puppets. Man, wow. I saw them on and Justice for All. I missed all the other previous tours, and it's like I could just some of those tours, man. You just wish you could go back in time and just be there and experience them live. I mean, I've seen some clips. I've seen some clips of like James Hetfield playing. And he's doing all downstrokes, and it's like he's playing so damn fast. It's like, how the hell is he doing that? You know, he's playing faster than what's on the recording because he's live, so his adrenaline is going. You know, and it's just like, damn. You know, or other people like that too, man. So I'm just checking the chat here real quick.
But Wayne, did you talk more about music, like either your music,
whatever you want to talk about, man? Caroline Blue stuff. Yeah, I mean we've got currently 2 albums out: "Slave to the Hourglass" and "Not for the Innocent." There, you know, you can go on. They're on iTunes. It's basically anywhere you can get music. They're there. We're still with CD Baby. So they were kind of like our label, so to speak, and they got us everywhere and stuff like that. And our music videos are up on YouTube, and I'm probably going to reload them up on Facebook. They're kind of up there now, but when I did them back then, the resolution wasn't as good, and then it got made worse because of Facebook. I just found out recently, I guess, when it comes to Facebook video, to upload something, the highest they'll take is 720. Which is, you know, that's high definition, but it's like the low end of high definition. You want, if possible these days, currently you want at least 1080. But a lot of the early stuff I've got, I mean, it was shot before there was broadband, you know, like 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there, 2006. So a lot of the stuff that we shot, I think Pain was actually the first video that was shot in 1080. Everything else was in lower resolution. Slave to the Hourglass might have been 720, but I don't think so. But so you had stuff at 640 or even 480. You know, like nowadays when you're watching that stuff, it's like blurry. And there's like I was able to do a lot of the early videos were done by Underground Music Television, UMTV, which when they were in Syracuse, that's what they were called, and then they moved to Chicago and changed it to Underground Video Television. Unfortunately, the person who was in charge of that, Rich Stolley, died 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little longer than that. So I have no idea how to get access to those videos so I can try to convert them. He did them a little bit, but he got them up to about 640, I think, maybe 720. So even though they say enhanced on there, they're still not up to standard currently. Although there's a wonderful video, and it's a little pixelated, but for the ladies out there, I guess there's a quick video where me and a couple of other past members of Caroline Blue we're kind of doing a jib jab video, and it's like a Chippendales thing. Our heads are put up on male strippers' bodies, and we're gyrating all over the place and stuff. So I don't know if that's going to titillate anybody or make them want to vomit or both.
I don't think
Ray saw Ray Stevens. Wow, Ray Stevens.
Ray
Stevens. Was he streaking?
I'm wondering about that. So Susan, maybe a kind of odd question, Wayne, but you were talking about maybe one day you'll get enough to watch all these movies that you want to watch. But let's just say hypothetically, you were stuck on a deserted island somewhere, but you had ability to watch movies. like, what would be your top 5 movies, any genre, that you'd wanna have on that island?
That weren't starring me. No, I'm just
You
joking.
could have one
um, top. That's a good question. Man, I'm not sure. Because I have my favorites, but they're not really in the horror genre. I mean, my favorite horror stuff, like Bubba Hotep, Evil Dead 2. Um, there's a couple other ones. It's that one movie that I vaguely recall. I know I saw it, but the only scene I remember is the last scene with in the lab. That's Reanimator. With the head.
Yeah.
I remember that part. I think everyone remembers that part. You just reviewed a movie not too long ago. I did remember seeing that. I guess you could classify that's I Spit on Your Grave. I remember seeing that, thinking it was something else. And, I don't know what at the time, but that was like, oh, okay. I'm sure that one guy, that one guy in the chat liked that movie a lot.
That's a hard watch. That's
it is. It's
a very hard watch.
It is. And I've had to do a couple of those type of scenes before, and it's never. I mean, that first scene in Miss Cannibal Holocaust. It's. I apologize. The woman who was the victim of all that, her name is Nicola Fiore. She's actually kind of like a scream queen herself. I shouldn't even say kind of. I think she is. She's been in several movies where that's what she does. She's also in this music video that's got millions of hits called Dangerous. It's like two joggers, and she's the second jogger. And in the end, they're both all bloody and eating each other or something. I can't remember the name of the band though, but I talked with her after we did that scene. I'm just really sorry. It's like going there. And then she was also in Night of Something Strange. And of course she's in Laundry and stuff like that. And so, but what Cornelius, that's my character in Night of Something Strange, what he does to her, well, I actually, unfortunately, in real life, in that scene, I actually injured her. That was part of injuring other actors. I accidentally injured her because she's on a bed. Okay, to set this up, I throw, she's her and her boyfriend, who's the lead character, his name is Dirk, and he's played by an actor named Trey Harrison. He's the main lead. Okay, and they just broke up because he found out she was cheating on him. So she's like there, and she's out the doorway, and she's just wearing bra and panties. And all of a sudden, I just come out of nowhere, and I just throw her into the room, and the door just shuts, and he just turns around. It's like, okay. Meanwhile, I'm in the room throwing her around, and I get her onto the bed. And then what happens in the movie, you just see, I just grab this old small TV, very solid old small TV, and she's lying on the bed. And what happens in the movie is I pick it up and I throw it, and it lands on her. And then I pick her up by her legs and spread, and it's Taco Tuesday. Let's put it that way, okay? With teeth, but that's not where I injured her. What was supposed to happen is just a little bit of movie magic here. She's there, okay, and then so they film that. That's the plate, and then she's off to the side. And then they film just the bed, so that I'm not obviously really throwing the TV into her actual head. Okay, so it's CGI and stuff. Well, one of the takes I did to just because she's very petite, and so I grabbed her by her leg, and I was just supposed to kind of help guide her off the bed. Again, 100% force, drive, and stuff like that. Especially when you're playing Cornelius, because I deviate a lot. By the way, in case you didn't know, I deviate. But I'll get back to this. I'll remember this point. But part of I was in a production called Star Trek New Voyages / Phase 2. I played a character named Walking Bear. Now I was doing one of their episodes up in Ticonderoga, or at the time it was Port Henry. Okay. Before I had to film for Night of Something Strange. So the director, Jonathan Straight, he said, okay, just as a little bit of homework, here's some videos for you to study the type of zombies I'm looking into. because you got the slow ones, you got the fast ones. So he gave me 2 movies. One of them is, I think it's Dawn of the Living Dead. It's the one in the shopping mall. Did I finally get that name right?
Dawn of the Dead.
The Dawn of the Dead. Okay, I finally got that. I almost always never remember that name. There's that one and 28 Weeks Later.
I got you.
Okay, so you got all the fast moving zombies there and stuff like that. Okay, so, and just to say, this is kind of a humorous thing. I wasn't one of the main crew, so I didn't get my own hotel room or anything like that. I had to sleep with the crew, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And they had these cabins like off the side. So we got there, and it was like a long shoot. We didn't get back till past 2 a.m. It was a full moon. So we get there, everyone's tired, and I'm just hoping. Earlier in the day, I'd been watching these videos and stuff and everything, and hearing that and getting into the mindset and everything. That night, I'm like, I'm just hoping I can go to sleep. I'm tired enough to go to sleep like that, because one of the crew guys that's in the same room with me, he snores so damn loud. Once he starts going, I can't go to sleep. And I had a call like at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was already 2, so it's pitch black. I'm just, okay, I gotta go to sleep. Just try to, and of course it's just keeping me more awake. So, and of course he starts snoring, and I'm like, fuck, he's snoring. So, but then he does this, he's like, and there's a pause, like this dramatic pause. And I'm just kind of like, and of course you're in that darkness, silence, everything's heightened. And then you start hearing, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I've been watching zombie stuff earlier in the day, and now you got this guy groaning like one in this room. So I said I wouldn't forget going back, and now I just forgot about it. But I know it was the part with Nicola. We were talking about the whole thing and stuff like that. And I kind of forgot my point. But we had the CGI part. Okay, so we had that, and I accidentally, and when I threw her off, she went with such force, okay, that there's an old radiator off to the side, and her knee hit that, and we're all looking at it as all of a sudden you look at her knee and it's going, the swelling's there and everything. And I'm like, oh my God. And I guess there's behind the scene footage somewhere where the camera's behind me and you can see, that's another thing, actually. I'm sorry. That's another thing. And I'll get to that in a moment. But she's like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. You'll pay later, kind of a thing. And, but the thing I just mentioned there is, when she was going, I could throw the TV down at full force. That was the other thing I was getting to. I'm trying to remember. Okay. So I did that. And of course it's a bed, and this is a very heavy old TV. So as soon as I did that, no one seemed to realize, including myself, that it's a bed. It's going to bounce. So it bounced, and it just went in some random direction. And all these cast and crew guys are like scrambling not to get hit by this thing. And every time I did a take of that, I went at full force. So it would go in a different direction. And I think the director at one point went right towards him. And it was like, and it's like, oh my, it's like, Wayne, can you kind of, no, I'm going to go full force, man. Because that's the way you do it, man. It's, when you're playing a mindless zombie that all is thinking about is kill, and spreading the virus, but killing and stuff, when all that is just that hate and that energy and stuff like that, you gotta own it. So I did my best, and there's actually several reviews of it where that got mentioned. So obviously that was a good play. I had one reviewer, it was wonderful. He said it was kind of like a sex crazed Hulk, on Rampage, like, it was just like, that's awesome, man. Spit on Your Grave is one of Dana's favorites.
Well, not really. I mean, I've watched it, but Wes likes to tease me about that being one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I didn't watch the episode that you were watching it, but I saw that and I was like, oh, you're in for it.
Yeah, and I tried to warn everybody that was there for the watch along. I was like, you've never seen this movie. It's rough. Yeah, so be prepared.
Yeah.
You're talking 20 something minutes of gang rape, basically.
Yeah, was it like there's like 3 scenes of that, and then she starts having her revenge, including that one in the tub. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Lorraine Bobbitt got inspiration on that one.
Jeez. And to top it off, I had a movie munchies stream where I did spiral cut hot dogs.
What? Yeah,
It's
hot dogs being.
And believe it or not, the guy that came up with, or it was a guy that came up with the recipe for me to do. So I was kind of like shocked that a guy would say, "How about I spit on your grave spiral cut hot dogs?" Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it's hey, you know.
But well, Wayne, I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know you're a busy man. But is there, to kind of close us out here, is there anything that you haven't touched on that you'd like to bring up before we end this?
Well, first of all, is there anybody else in the chat who has any questions before we wind this down?
That's a good thing to bring up. So if you got questions, you better get them in the chat there. Everybody's become pretty quiet now.
That's because I talk too much.
I don't
Well, no, actually, the longest interview I've ever done, and it's online, is like over 4 hours. I can't even watch it in one go, and I'm my biggest fan. It's like so.
I mean, I definitely wanted to give you time enough to talk about different things and feel like it was worth your while. But then I don't.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. It's always worth my while. I still have in my head. I'm still that person who, like, a shy little kid with a bowl haircut and a tiger belt buckle and stuff that couldn't get attention to save his life. That's still a part of me. And so I'm always very appreciative that anybody would want to hear from me, or and stuff like that. And so I appreciate that very much. I appreciate you very much, and all of you out there in Chatland. Thank you for being here. And
and Wayne, you have an open invitation anytime to come back. Just let me know when you come back.
Yeah, that would be awesome, because you never know what projects are coming down the pipeline. And I will say there are rumors of a sequel to Night of Something Strange. I'll just leave it at that right now. So that's definitely, if that ever really gains traction and starts going, obviously, you never say never. And, I don't want to sit there and jinx myself and say, yeah, I'm coming back as Cornelius, and all of a sudden it's somebody else. I mean, I would hope that I'm coming back because the character is popular, but then you never know. I mean, I was in a movie called House Shark, and I played a character. It's a shark movie. It's about a shark in a house, and he's got freaking laser beams, and he does. He got little fins and got little lasers on it. And that's also from Ron Bonk as well.
Ron Bonk, he's somebody that I've heard a lot.
Yeah, he's got some fun movies and stuff. And the character he had me play was a character called Darth Squanto. He's like he's a Native American Darth Vader. And I had fun with that character, and I'm in this, like, it's like a bike racing type armor, and I'm wearing a coat as a cape, mainly because I didn't realize that I was supposed to put the coat on, so I just had it like a cape. I'm learning how to speak. It's my first day of speaking. But yeah, that's all rumor right now. And by the way, if you go watch Johnny Z, there's people, not just me, but like Trey Harrison, Michael Merchant. Those guys are from Night of Something Strange. They're in it back as well. David McMahon and Felix Cortez and Jason Delgado and many, many other ones. There's a lot of wonderful people on that film, giving their hearts out and performing great. Tales of Dracula, of course. Want to push that. And the video game, The Devil's Apostles. Remember, there's an Indiegogo campaign. I think there's 40 days left to raise the required funds. Please go there, and if you contribute. If you can't, then share it at least. You know, get it out there, get the word out, because they really. I mean, again, it's although maybe this is another way to put it. If you want to see me really put through my paces, vocally, probably blow up my voice multiple times again, because some people may not realize when you're doing video games, especially as a lead character, and it's a horror movie, you got to be able to do the voice, whatever that character could do because of the player. So if the character decides to walk into like a raging fire, I've got to scream like I'm on fire. If I get hit by lightning, if I get my arm chopped off by a chainsaw slowly, I've got to go through that. So that's going to put me through my paces. I'm very excited to do that. Not to actually have that happen, but to do the voice of all that, of course. I haven't lost that many screws yet, but it's something that I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, do I have a favorite Friday the 13th? Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, I saw the first Nightmare of Elm Street. I did see that with my dad when I was younger. I saw that, and that was the first one. Would be out of that one is my favorite. I really haven't seen the other ones. There was another movie that freaked me out, warped my little mind on there and stuff like that. Friday the 13th. Well, Halloween. The first one. Again, I haven't really ventured into the other ones, so I can't really say. And Friday the 13th. What's interesting is there was a radio. I think it was a radio station or a podcast. I can't remember which one. They had a thing going with one of the films that I was involved in, and they part of that was asking each cast member, certain questions. And the question they asked for that round was, out of the Friday the 13th movies, what was your favorite kill scene? And it's like, I've only seen one. And so I had to go like research just the kill scenes, which of course they have those on YouTube. And I think it was was it the one in space? Is that number 6? I'm not going to say that's my favorite.
That might have been later on.
Jason X? Is that Jason X or something?
Yeah, that was like Jason 10, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the full movie, so I can't say that's my favorite one, but I do like this one kill scene. There's 2 kill scenes in particular, but one's in another film. But my favorite, and I said that for the interview or podcast or whatever, I said that part where Jason grabs the woman's head and puts it in liquid nitrogen. Mm-hmm. I thought that was something that was good, and then just smashed her face, and I was like, wow, that's wow. The other one, and I guess there's a lot of people that like this kill scene. I can't remember which Friday the 13th movie this came from. Was the one where the woman was in the sleeping bag and it gets zipped up.
Yeah, part of it.
Yeah, and she's getting bashed against a tree and stuff. I mean, because with me, it's like I'm almost empathizing. What would it be like if I was in? I don't know why I'm empathizing with it, because I definitely don't want to ever experience something like that. But it's like, what would be going through your mind? And it's like you just don't know when you're that impact is coming, and bam, it's like, and that happens, and it's like, wow. I mean, maybe just from an acting point of view. A lot of times it's just you try to not anticipate anything. I think what's the guy who's currently playing Jason? What's the actor's name?
Now the guy that played him multiple times was Kane Hodder.
Kane. Well, no, I don't think it's Kane, or maybe it is. Maybe it's Kane, but. One of the guys, I remember, he said the same thing, and I had already come to this conclusion. He says when he's doing stunts and stuff, it's like when they say action, you just do it. You don't think, because if you think, you're automatically overthinking, especially when it's a physical scene. You just let your body do it and react. Like in Johnny Z, it's like they didn't use it, but I had to go through it 20 times because that's Jonathan for you. Where I'm like, I'm joking. Because I could see his reaction going, but where I had to run backwards like at full force, and what stopped me was the wall because I'd been kicked. So I'm like running like the force of the kick, and you don't. So I guess in a way I kind of know what it's a little bit like to be in that sleeping bag, because I don't know when that wall is hitting me until I actually hit it. And I have to say that I was kind of like, I'm an industrial kind of military paratrooper, like special forces kind of character. So I got like these like hardened like knee pads and elbow pads and everything on and stuff like that. And I'm so glad I had those knee pads on, because as soon as I hit, I dropped down to my knees. And if that was there was no guards there, I would have shattered my kneecaps probably within the first 2 takes or something like that. But even then, that was grueling, and I had to do it. I don't know if it was 20 times, but it was multiple times. And so something like that. And so if I was overthinking it and I was trying to brace myself for impact, I probably would have injured myself a lot more, instead of just letting my body just react the way it does. I mean, that just happened with the Bondini boys. I got shot. I had fallen to the ground. I just did it. I didn't think about it. I wasn't thinking like, okay, it goes action, bam. And it's like, you just react, because if you tend to overthink too much. If you're thinking, okay, I want to land safely, bam, your chances are you're going to injure yourself. So that's one little trick right there. And it's hard to do. It comes with experience, because you can't necessarily shut off your mind like that, especially when you put yourself in danger or tension situations. Your mind is going into overdrive. It's telling you, oh, don't do it. What are you doing here? First of all, is your mind telling you, what are you doing this to yourself? Come on. And you basically got to tell it to shut up. Comments here. Let's see. Oops, new comments. Get on here.
Yeah, Mick Carr said he loves Night at Something Strange.
Awesome, thank you. That was great. If we have time, I mean, what were your favorite scenes or characters? Because as much as I toot my own horn and I'm my biggest fan and stuff like that, there's people that love Cornelius, but there's people who love the other characters too, and it's like they all did a great job. I mean, it was just so much fun, going on, and some really freaky things that happened on that set. I remember we were at a gas station, and we looked at, there was some downtime, so we're looking at the food that's there, and it's like the canned food is like expired, like 4 years, 3 years old. It's like, oh, this is what it's like down in the Virginia area, I guess. I don't know if it's like that now, but at the time we were filming in 2011, it was. So I guess Friday the 13th, going back to that question, at some point, I'll probably end up with a girl who loves horror movies and is going to force me to watch everything, because I'm going to force me to make time. I shouldn't say force me. Again, horror was never really something that I gravitated towards. Like I guess the closest would be Batman. I mean, that's not really close at all, but it's darker. Okay. There's my back of my mind is still thinking about what horror I kind of would like to play. So I'm trying to come up with that before this ends. Besides Dracula, and I already played that to a degree. But yeah, and at some point I'm gonna watch all these things, and I'll have an answer for it, because I am gonna catch up with everything. I'm not gonna knock on wood. I'm not gonna. I wish I could knock on my piano.
Well, even if you don't get all the answers this time, like I said, you have an open invitation to come back on anytime.
And I'll definitely find my headset for that. Definitely find that. So hopefully that doesn't cause the echo. Sorry about that, McCor.
No problem.
We at the beginning of this whole thing, initially it was my fault because I had another window open with not with the episode, but just YouTube. So that was causing some problems, and then there was the volume issue on my end again. So I turned down my speakers, and but I'm not sure, and probably the headset would have fixed that, but
usually it does, but go figure, it's the internet, so anything's possible.
There's a lot of stuff that I got to catch up on. A lot of horror movies, a lot of music too, actually. Because I have like over 1,000 CDs, and I made it a mission one time to listen to everything once, so I did. But because I did it that way, stuff didn't stick with me. as well as something that would have been like repeated listening or viewing.
Speaking of music, though, Wayne, one last
one recent movie. I just remembered one recent movie that I enjoyed that was awesome, and it came out the same year as Night of Something Strange, 2016, but it was way more successful. And I wish I was in that movie, even though it would be hard. Train to Busan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was an awesome movie, man.
But I got so depressed.
Yeah, the ending it's a tearjerker. It is a tearjerker. I mean, throughout, especially towards the end. But man, I got the Blu-ray of that, and because I was hearing so much about it, and I was like, okay, it's the same year as Night of Something Strange, and obviously I'm Team Nos, but it's like it's that one deserves all the accolades that it got and everything like that. I haven't seen the sequel. I haven't heard good things about the sequel, unfortunately.
I think my husband watched the sequel, but I don't remember sitting down and watching it with him. But I watched the first one.
Yeah, that just triggered another memory too. It's more sci-fi, but it's horror too. It's the first Alien movie. I went there and I saw that with my father, but amazingly enough, the only memory I remember of that is we were in the theater watching it, and this older woman came out of the bathroom, and she passed us, and she still had like a bunch of toilet paper still dangling from her back. It's just like what a thing to remember out of a movie, especially a movie like that. That's what you remember. So there's that.
Mick
maybe it's a good thing I'm not watching these movies.
Mick Horror wants to know if you're a fan of Mayhem. He just watched Lords of Chaos the other day.
The Norwegian metal. Yeah, that stuff. I have not heard any of their stuff. I've heard their infamy. I've heard of what they did back there. That was extremely intense. There's a channel. I wish I could remember what it is. There's a channel out there. It's a bunch of guys, and what they do is they go through every genre of metal or hard rock and even punk. Okay, and they basically do almost like what they do is they play it, and then they do a song like that, something that they created, and it sounds pretty true to it for the most part. And I discovered a bunch of genres that way, including this one that is just white noise. There's some really, really out there genres of music out there and stuff. There's stuff that's just like everything's going at like 220 beats per minute. It's just like going crazy. I just actually discovered, talking about crazy, but in a good way, a band from Japan called, I'm looking up here on it there just because I have trouble. Sokuninaru, and it's a 3-piece band, and they are intense musicians. It makes you want to quit immediately.
Wow.
Hearing not only their technical ability, but the changes and stuff. It's very progressive, like progressive rock style, but it's like the singing is kind of like J-pop a little bit, because they got harmonies and all this stuff. There's a female bassist, male drummer, and guitar player, and they got nice melodies and stuff. But man, the stuff they do, the stop starts, all this stuff, it's like sometimes the changes are going so fast, it's like you're trying to keep up. And then what's even worse is I've seen live videos of them playing some of those songs, and they're pretty much nailing it, and I'm just like, god damn. From a technical point of view, from that kind of style, I mean, everything has its place. I mean, I'm also a big ABBA fan. I mean, talk about two different worlds. So, but I like a lot of and Typo and Kiss and Beethoven and funk stuff and Prince, and I mean, just kind of all over the place, disco and all that stuff. But
Wes says if you listen to Saxon.
I've heard one or two. I haven't heard as much as I should. I think I heard Denim and Leather. Right. Sorry, I don't know why I kind of slurred there with that. And I definitely have to revisit them. And Mayhem, I should check out too, just so that I could say I've heard it. I know the scene is more famous in general than the public. I mean, than the music in a sense, because you hear of all like people eating band members and burning churches. I think that a lot of that was Mayhem, wasn't it? I think. And Saxon is something I know they were a big part of the new wave of British heavy metal back in the early '80s and stuff, but they only got to a certain point. Favorite Kiss albums? Um, I can't say all of them, can I?
You can.
Yeah, well, no, I have certain ones. There's Creatures of the Night, Look It Up, Paul Stanley's solo album. Those are the three that pop into my mind. And believe it or not, Dynasty. I really like Dynasty and Unmasked. Those are the albums I tend to go back to the most. I love the classic stuff though. I remember hearing like Detroit Rock City for the first time and it blew my mind, especially the way the original with not edited and shit. There's so many different versions of Detroit Rock City. It's kind of ridiculous. But the original Destroyer version where you had the radio breakfast going on, the kid gets into the car, going to the concert and ends up dying in the end, you know, and all that stuff and everything, you know. I love it. I'm a big my favorite member is Paul Stanley, but I actually did meet Gene Simmons briefly. He, as you may or may not know, he has his own soda line, Moneybag Soda. What a name, right? You know, for Gene. And he was doing a promotional tour or something while also touring with his solo band. And they were going to perform at the Turning Stone Casino, which is like in Verona. It's like about 40 minutes away from where I live. But they were doing a promotion for the soda, and they were doing it at a Tops store in Fayetteville, Manlius area. Okay. So, and you got a chance, you know, for a very small fee. I think it was only like $30 or something like that. You could go there and meet him and have a photo taken with him. So I did that, and actually, I just posted that on, you know, when Gene's birthday was not too long ago. I posted a photo of us together, and I only spoke with him for a few moments. For some reason, he called me Buckaroo Banzai or something. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean, because it threw me right off. I mean, I was a little starstruck, and he was very polite, very cordial, asked me if I was having a good time and stuff like that, and. You know that just proves too. I mean, you know, there's two or three sides to everybody. You know, I've heard, of course, obviously the stories of what an asshole he can be, but sometimes you have to be. Sometimes people force you to because it's like the way they are. You know, it's especially when you start getting up in those levels. I mean, I just you know, sometimes I just had this like Facebook friend request burst that just for whatever reason all of a sudden, you know, for whatever, you know, things come and go in cycles. Okay. And I was like, start just declining, you know, it was like, I had like down to 4,740. Okay. And it used to be 4,800 something, but it was just for the last 6 or 7 months, it's just been declining or something for whatever reason. And all of a sudden I was getting like 20 to 50 requests a day. So now I'm like 4,900 and something. And cause I go through, I don't just accept anybody because you got to watch out. Cause you get the freaks who are like, you know, talk to me. I'm basically in there all day long. You know, why aren't you talking to me? I don't know you. You know, and you know, I had somebody out of the blue. I have no idea who he is. Just called me. And I'm just like, okay, I'm at work. I do work a regular job here because at the moment my creative pursuits are not enough. They bring me some income, but not enough where I can, you know, not get thrown out where I live and stuff. And I'd like to eat more than ramen. So Hotter Than Hell is his favorite. That's awesome. I love that album. It's weird because it's got a weird mix, but it adds to that. It's almost like I heard rumors that the master tapes were lost in a fire. That's why they've never remastered them. And but it's got its own character and sound. It's got that kind of like a sludgy kind of sound and stuff. I guess that's why a lot of the grunge bands in the 90s who were into Kiss named that as a big influence. And Mikora Typo is awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I mean, especially since early on, like I was saying, I wore my Paul Stanley influence on my sleeve and stuff. So I mean, it wasn't just me trying to hit notes like Paul Stanley when I was singing. It was also me like live going, "How you doing, people? You know, let me hear ya!" Kind of that kind of crap. And There's even a music video that I did, a live video for the song "The Queen of Pleasure." I don't know why I'm saying this because it's embarrassing, and it's not even a Paul quote. It's from a Paul Stanley tribute band called the Paul Stanleys, and they did this opening line, and I thought it was, for whatever reason, I was out of my mind. I thought it was great, so I mimicked it, and it was talking about how like that guy will probably like this, the one who likes the R. He's like, it's about a girl whose dress is a little higher, whose something is a little tighter, whose spreads her legs a little bit wider, But I was saying it like that exaggerated Paul way. Spreads her legs just a little bit wider, like that. So it's like, and I'm doing this live, and I can only imagine what people in the crowd were thinking. All of a sudden, this 6'3" guy who looks like a big Native American out there sitting there all of a sudden going, what? Wearing leather pants, going, spreads her legs just a little bit wider. It's like, holy, wow. But yeah, the typo stuff, I can actually hit that, a lot closer. I've actually had people, watch the video. It's on, we're doing Christian Woman, watch there, and you tell me. I mean, I'm not hitting it perfect. That was a rough show for various reasons, several reasons, and it wasn't, self-admittedly, that wasn't one of my best performances. But I hadn't been on stage for like over 10 years by that point, because like I said, when I went into acting, I went full in. So we didn't do the last Caroline Blues show. Before that was in 2013, so it was over. And that was 2022, so it was just a little over, and or under. I can't do math at the moment because it's my first day, and so it's like so I was definitely rough, and I was dealing with a bunch of young guys, and nothing against them or anything like that, but the band, that lineup folded. It was already crumbling by the time we hit that first show for various reasons, and it's always something new, always new reasons. I mean, but having said that, there were a lot of things, a lot of cracks were appearing, and I could see them appearing. But I always have this thing, good or bad, that I'm kind of hopeful in a sense. I'm always like, okay, we can work this out. We can pull through this. We can, if we work through this and do this and just stay the course, we can get through this. That's a little bit harder when you have a band, because you got other people who have different motivations and agendas. Whereas it's a lot easier to do that to yourself, because it's like, okay, you can force yourself to push through everything, where somebody else might just say, fuck that, I ain't gonna, fuck that, why should I fucking do this, and then take off. Deadsy sounds similar. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I'm just thinking, because I sing Beth as loud as I can every time I shower. Well, I guess, especially if your significant other is named Elizabeth or Beth.
There you go.
That would be something. Otherwise, well, you can't come home right now. I guess you're coming somewhere. And there's actually a punk version of that song that's on a tribute album. It's Beth, I hear you calling, can't come home right now. It's kind of like that. Wow, okay.
I hate to add this up. I'll let Wayne answer this about what hair metal band is he into, and then we'll try to tie it up.
Okay, yeah, that's. I will say this. That kind of ties in with the other thing. If you let me talk, I'll keep going. I've been on podcasts where they're like, oh God, we got to get this guy to shut up.
No,
they don't. No, it's okay. I mean, I understand. I'm notoriously long-winded. And it's just I just get it. It's kind of like, again, you get into the stories, and I get into them. I just keep going, and it's like so that's just the way I am. I mean, I'd rather over deliver than under deliver. I'd hate to be like one of those people. It's like you ask a question, go, that was a good experience, and then yeah, because then you can edit everything. So then when the final thing comes out, it's me doing that. It's just me going, yeah. People, because you want to. Oh, there's an interview where Wayne's just giving really short answers. Oh, I got to see that. What hair metal bands was I into? Okay, up until Shout at the Devil, I liked early Motley Crue. because it was a lot like Kiss. Obviously, Kiss, at that stage. Um, Dokken was one of my bands, and that is a little bit of an influence on Caroline Blue. Um, not only just Don's voice, but George's guitar playing is awesome. I mean, I've played Dokken tunes in other bands as well as Caroline Blue. We've done like Breaking the Chains in Caroline Blue. We got to do a lot of covers. It's probably true everywhere, but especially in Central New York. It's just the cover bands dominate. And even though my music is a little more accessible because it's a little older style, in a sense, it is kind of especially the earlier Caroline Blue stuff. You hear that it's like 80s. You hear 80s metal or 80s hard rock, and but even then, people, it's just the way things are these days. People are more for nostalgic reasons, for into the heritage bands and stuff like that, so they want to hear that too. And it's part of people being like path of least resistance. It's just part of the way people are geared that way. And so they want to hear stuff that they, when they're in a bar, they're basically trying to unwind more often than not. Okay, and they just want to have an easy day. They want to have their alcohol, maybe get something, little action on the side, maybe not. Hopefully not get into a fight, and hear some music that they love, man. They don't want to be challenged by new music. There's people that do. Okay. Wasp, yeah, the first, especially the 84, with Love Machine and stuff like that. And even the follow-up album, I can't remember what the album's called, but it was with Wild Child and stuff like that. And then after that, I kind of lost there because I think I started getting into Yngwie Malmsteen and his Rising Force and stuff like that. And who I got to see at the Lost Horizon, I got to see Yngwie fire his bass player on stage at the Lost Horizon. I think the bass player was kind of overshadowing him a little bit. It's a kind of a hazy thing, but I remember seeing that. It was like all of a sudden he played the rest of the show without a bass player, and I was just like, oh, okay, there you go. Other hair metal bands, back at the time, Rat, I really liked. Some good questions. These are questions I usually don't get answered. There was a podcast based in Syracuse that I thought they were very music oriented, and I thought they were going to ask me a lot of music questions like this, and they ended up asking me a lot of acting questions. So it kind of threw me off guard for a moment. But you roll with it. It's cool. I'm trying to think. There was a lot of the bands. It was just kind of like I even back then. I mean, it's more common now where it's just you're into the songs. You're not necessarily into the full bands, but even back then, I was more like that. I would be like more into an album or more into a song. So I listened to a lot of different songs. Like I'm not a huge. I mean, I like the first King Cobra album. I like that. I like a bunch of songs off of there. But and the only time I saw them was I saw them opening up for Kiss at the Utica Auditorium, like '85. I think it was around that time. Queensryche, I guess they're not really hair metal, but stuff off of stuff like Take Hold of the Flame, Eyes of a Stranger, all the stuff off Empire, stuff like that. I mean, it's like or Operation Mindcrime, I should say, more than that. Walk in the Shadows, I love that song. The stuff that Jeff Tate was. I don't know if he can still do any of that stuff, but back then, what he was doing it was kind of like all sorts of like LA Guns. It's weird when I saw Guns N' Roses before they exploded at the Lost Horizon, which was this tiny club. I was there to see Easy-O, just from Japan, which Gene Simmons was producing at the time. And they had makeup and stuff, and I was there to see them. I had no interest in Guns N' Roses at the time. This is before they exploded and got big. This is before Sweet Child of Mine was released. I think the only song that was on MTV at the time was Welcome to the Jungle. So, but it was a lot of individual songs. Obviously, not heavy, not hair metal, but like the Ozzy stuff with Randy Rhoads and stuff was awesome. There's too many that I can name right now that are just I can't. Are you a fan of Meatloaf? Oh, it's good food. I actually do like a lot of the songs that I've heard so far. I haven't really heard a lot of stuff. Crimson Idol, I have not heard from Wasp as of yet. A lot of music stuff coming in now. And Electric Circus, I think the only song I've heard from Electric Circus is that the one that has they did the Who cover, I Don't Need No Doctor? Is that the one? The Last Command, that's the one with Wild Child on it, I believe. That's the one I like that. A bunch of songs off of that album. Meatloaf, I've only heard the singles. I have, believe it or not, and this is shame on me, I've yet to watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how deprived I am. And I have to find a theater if I can, if they're still around, and I got to get the full experience with the rice and all that stuff. It's kind of like watching The Room now with the spoons and everything. But I've seen The Room.
My husband and I actually went to a showing of The Room, and it was with an audience, and everybody bought out plastic spoons, forks, and everything from the store that was nearby the theater.
Yeah.
And it was just insane. We had forks and stuff. Well, my husband's bald, so he didn't get any stuff in his hair, but I got stuff in my hair.
Yeah, I'd have a major like rice perm if that happened. We got it. Striper, yeah. I up until Against the Law, and even some of the singles I've heard, like Sorry. That's like a couple years ago. That they got some great stuff. I think I'm friends with Michael Sweet on one of the social media things. So I've never met him, unfortunately. Striper came here with the Lost Horizon at Against the Law. I missed them. I missed Judas Priest, which was great. They're a great band. I missed them. I missed a ton of bands. But going back to Michael Sweet, he actually did at the time, he did like a little solo tour, but it was an acoustic tour, and he was actually playing in churches, and I missed that. And my friend Mike, he got to see him there, and it was like, bastard. It's like, I wanted to go see that. That would have been so awesome just to see him in that type of a setting and just to say hi, because phenomenal musicians and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't need no Doctor Who cover that's on there. Yeah. I actually Striper, great stuff. I mean, it's so weird. I remember back in the day, a lot of musicians were saying, how are they getting that sound, on the guitars? That was the thing with them, because they always had such a great sound for the day. And I can't remember if it was Mesa Boogies or what they were using. But yeah, I mean, I remember seeing the concert they put out on video from Japan. I used to watch that a lot. That one and Animalize live from Kiss, and a few other ones. There was a lot of stuff back then that I definitely watched. I was one of those people who always watched Headbangers Ball. Got a lot of them on videotape. I should find them somewhere and try to convert them so I can get. There's probably some music on there that nobody's ever. It's like it's gone. It's forgotten. So.
Well,
sorry, I kind of got long-winded again on that, because now we're up to almost 2.5 hours.
But
can we make it to 3? No, we don't have to go to 3, but it's like it's up to you.
It's been great, and it's been a lot of fun having Wayne on.
Oh, here comes the questions. He keeps asking questions here. Dancing?
One more car, and then we're.
Well, one more. Well, how about one more after that one? You can't leave it on dancing. I mean, dancing's nice. I mean, dancing. Of course, you got to talk about that video where he got clocked, and he's no, but dancing actually the only song I have heard a couple of their songs, but I haven't really dived into the catalog of them or the Misfits. Actually, the only song I know from Danzig, and it's only because I had to play it in a band I was in called Four Large Men in the 90s. And was it because of that? No. At least not that I'm aware of. In terms of why are we large? That was a name given to us because we're all over 6 feet tall, if I remember right. There was Danzig. We used to play the song "Mother." We used to play it all the time. Mother, tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children not to hear my words. What they say, Mother. That one. And it's like, but I was playing bass in that band, so in Four Large Men, I actually played bass for about 5 or 6 years, and I played bass a couple of times. And actually, I was slated to play bass in a project with Ronnie Monroe. Ronnie Monroe is a former lead singer for Metal Church and for TSO, the Trans Siberian Orchestra, and I'm still in contact with him. I'm still friends with him, and we had it's funny we had over an hour long talk on the phone one time when I was in a car that was kind of breaking down in a Kmart parking lot. And what's interesting enough is he was asking me questions. I mean, this is a guy who's on that level. I'm not, Caroline Blue and music and stuff, I haven't gotten to near to that level yet, like he has. But he was asking me about voiceover work and stuff because I'd already done some stuff and that was something he was interested in. So we were kind of like exchanging notes a little bit and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. He's a really sweet guy. Unfortunately, we were supposed to work on, we were with some management team and we were supposed to work on some albums, and the first one being a cover album. So we ended up doing, recording a bunch of songs, and the only one that even kind of came close to being fully recorded was a cover of Screaming in the Night by Crocus. And I was playing bass on that, okay, because it was basically the band Four Large Men without the former singer, whose name is Jerry Ehrman, who sadly passed away several years ago. That's why he wasn't involved in some way, shape, or form in this project. But it was the rest of us. It was me, Mike Merrifield, and Roy Costin. And Roy still does. Roy, I think, he plays occasional shows with Ronnie. But me and Mike, I don't think Mike has done anything, but I can't speak for him. And I know I haven't, unfortunately, although I'm waiting. I'd love to do a show, at least, or multiple shows. So Ronnie, if you're listening, you can, I still have the set list. I actually even invested in a bass. I mean, I'm not no guilt trips here or anything like that. Like a nice Thunderbird bass that's heavy as fuck, but you need a good hunk of wood between your legs for metal. How's that for a thing like here?
Okay, well, guys and gals, I want to thank everybody for being in here with me and Wayne this evening. I want to thank Wayne once again for graciously offering on here tonight. And he will return. I'm going to make sure that we can get something set up so he can be on the show again.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. First of all, again, thank you. And
You're very welcome.
Thank Lori for suggesting all this and hooking this up, and thank you guys so much for giving me this wonderful location that I'm going to definitely try to steal that piano, by myself. I mean, it's great. Thank you all for all the people in the chat and stuff. You had some great questions and stuff like that, and I really appreciate all of you and stuff like that. And thank you. And thank you very much for saying you're going to have me again. There's a couple of podcasts. I guess they're not going to ever have me again because I'm a little long in tooth when it comes to talking. But it is what it is. But it's okay, because there's always others, and it's just like I said, you can't please everybody, man. So Thank you. Mikora was saying, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bliss
is amazing.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank everybody. I mean, you guys did some great stuff, great questions, and I really appreciate it. It's definitely better than I remember. Like I said, I was doing a chat, and all of a sudden, this one guy came in. And he was just busting my balls throughout the whole thing, and I was just like. And then I found out who he was. And I go, yeah, okay, that fits the MO, of this person. So,
yeah. I've been doing these lives so long now that people do, even though I don't have balls, people come in and try to bust them anyway.
I'm not inviting anybody to come in and start busting balls or do bro humor or anything like that. I mean, I appreciate that you don't, because bro humor sometimes it gets to a point where it's like, it's something that somebody like a hater, to use that term, because I can't think of another one at the moment. There's really not much difference between what bro humor is and hater humor is, and some people just don't have an off button when it comes to that. Kind of like me talking in interviews. I don't have an off button. It's just like, but they keep going and going. And after a while, it's like, hey, are you trying to tell me something? Is there something that we need to discuss, or do I have to kind of break things off for a while? Do you have to take a little time out here or something like that? What's going on here? Because, after a while, it's like, yeah, there's some good natured humor and stuff like that. But after a while, it can really affect you. And again, it kind of triggers the mind and stuff. And that's something all creatives can relate to, man. There's that self-doubt, even though you can project everything you want inside, it's the inside. And your mind it's your greatest ally, but it's also your greatest enemy, because you can't fool your mind. Your mind is going to load you. It's going to try to protect you. It's path of least resistance, man. It's going to try to protect you and make sure you don't, do anything that is out of your comfort zone. And it's, you can just sit back on this couch over here, eating tacos while watching all these horror movies and stuff. Hey, I would love to be able to do that, but there's things I want to do. So, there's, maybe one day, there'll be a video of me. I got to remember that. I'll have to remember to have a video of me one day after I've made it, so to speak, like really made it, because somewhere there's a site, believe it or not, I check up on myself every once in a while. Wow. How egotistical, but there's reasons for that. But there's actually some site somewhere on Google that says my net worth is $66 million. And I'm like, God damn. What is it in pesos? It's like, it's like, come on. I mean, I would love that, but it's something that's like, okay, well, let's work towards that, so, but one step at a time.
Well, I guess, we'll tie it up.
Yeah, we'll tie it up, and I'll do it this way. I'll do my little promo where it's like, okay,
there you go.
Sing us some Billy Joel. Sing us a song, yeah, piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Not tonight. But no, it's well, if you want to find out more about me and the projects that I'm doing and stuff, first you have my main website, WayneWJohnson.com, which unfortunately the news is backed up. I'm still back in April. Hopefully this weekend I can get that all cut up. Okay. But I'm also on Facebook. There's my personal page, which is just Wayne W. Johnson. Then you have my acting page, Wayne, WWJ Official. Then you have Caroline Blue. Caroline Blue has two sites. CarolineBlue.net is the old site, and it's huge. A lot of shit on there. And then there's CarolineBlue.com, which at the moment is just redirecting to CarolineBlue.net, because I want to make Caroline Blue just like it's a current for the current thing. And right now, unfortunately, Caroline Blue is me and assorted hired guns. I do everything, and then if I need somebody, I hire them. It's like I needed somebody to be a cinematographer. I'm sorry, when I said camera person with Sarah Randall on My Fingers, she's the camera person on the Won't Be Home Tonight video. I'm sorry, the cinematographer is the camera person, and that's Michael J. Rudolph. So my apologies for that. I caught that before this ended. Okay, so sorry, movie Mike, about that. Now, but every time I promote this thing, I'm going to have to say that now, just so, because, he's a great guy. But so you got CarolineBlue.com, but really at the moment it's CarolineBlue.net. Okay, and Caroline Blue is the band right now. We got our music videos on YouTube, some on Vimeo. We're on Reverb Nation. We're on Sound. What's that? Sound. I can't even remember, because there's some of these sites I haven't been on in a long time. Anyway, okay. So you got me. Both of us are on Twitter, or X as they call it now. X. There's Instagram for both. There's LinkedIn, which actually I'm gaining a little traction on LinkedIn in terms of reactions and replies and stuff like that, just a little bit. Not as much. Facebook is my main one, and then followed by Instagram. Although it's weird. I'm in that kind of down cycle. I'm not on TikTok right currently. Neither is my band Caroline Blue, which means there's probably going to be some fake ones popping up, because they just do that, even if it's just by computer. And then of course you got and you can go from my pages. You can find out like Night of Something Strange, Tales of Dracula, The Devil's Apostles, that video game with the Indiegogo. Remember to check that out. check out the perks. Um, and then there's other productions, Dirty Sweater Productions. There's Hewitt Films. Um, all sorts of different things that I'm forgetting right now that they're all going to message me afterwards and say, "Why didn't you mention us?" you know, um, of course.
Well, when
Well,
I
when
have
I
you
have
on
you on
again,
again,
Wayne, you can
Wayne, you
mention
can
all
mention
that
all
stuff.
that stuff. Actually, you know what you could do? Just go on my IMDb page. There was a podcast. They did an interview with me, and I didn't catch on until like maybe they were a quarter of the way in. They went to my IMDb page, and I've got like over 50 listings. Which, if you go on my page, WayneWJohnson.com, and you go to chronology, you'll see that I've been in more than double that amount of films and stuff like that. There's a bunch of stuff that hasn't been released. But it's a huge list, if I may say so myself, and I'm modest about it. But if you go there, what they did is they went to my IMDb page and they started right at the bottom. They said, "Okay, so what do you remember about this film? What do you remember about Miss Cannibal Holocaust? Okay, what do you remember about this film? Any funny stories with this one?" And they just went up the line, and it was just like, and unfortunately the reception was bad too. So it's too bad, because it's a even if they contacted me and said, "Hey, let's redo the interview like exactly," I wouldn't have to sit there and memorize what I said. But if they asked me the same questions, I would spontaneously say, what, answer them. I would do that, but with better sound quality. But because unfortunately my voice sometimes is a little soft. Sometimes it's a little low. It's so weird because, again, you got this kind of 6'3" guy, imposing, kind of big guy, yet he kind of has a softer voice. Kind of a I could put people to sleep with my voice. I probably already did the people watching out here, but it's and I'm not going to shout here but I can get loud. I mean, I do have I have a little bit of theater experience, but not as much as I would like. I've only done a couple of productions. One of them being a production of here we go. See, I'm going right into another thing. We're extending again, but this is horror based, so this is interesting. I was in a theater production of Night of the Living Dead.
Awesome.
And what's the name of the lead character again? The African American guy. Ben. Ben. That was my role.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because they couldn't find an African American actor who wanted to audition for the role, so they went with racially ambiguous, which that's me. And so I got to play Ben in a production, and there's some footage somewhere about that. But it's fun because it's like, when you get into those theater productions, sometimes it gets crazy, some of the things that happen because of budget constraints. I mean, like, they were boarding up the windows in the back. Okay. So what we had these foam like boards, and they had like double-sided duct tape on them, and you put them on the window in the back, to pretend like you're hammering them. Then we'd go on, we'd talk, and all of a sudden one of them would drop, in the background. Or this is the best one, because you have a guy who's running sound, doing effects and stuff like that. So they had a little girl, towards the end about the basement scene, where Ben's on there and she's a zombie and stuff. So we're off stage a little bit there. I go in there, and I've got the shotgun or whatever it is, a rifle. Okay. And she starts coming towards me. So I get the gun and I'm pointing at her, and I'm like trying to make, I'm waiting for the sound to make the motions of shooting. And there's nothing. And she's approaching. She's getting closer to me. And there's nothing. And like, we're in a live audience. Like, I'm kind of like in my head, I'm like, hello, anytime now. And then they go off. And not only do they go off, there's like 7 or 8 of them go off in a row. And it's like, I'm just sitting there just blasting this person. So I got to act every single one until this guy decides to stop firing. And that, I would love to see that live. That's just, I love doing bloopers and stuff like that. Even if some of them are staged, but most of the time they're not. And I've got behind the scenes footage for a lot of different productions. Like from Johnny Z, I have filmage, of me doing various things. And there's one I've already posted where I'm running full force into a wall. and I put some holes into it a little bit, and my elbows are bleeding. That was a really hard shoot to do. I mean, I went through so much physical distress, I guess is the proper word in there. It was really hard on me for several reasons. Health wise and stuff like that, and I had bruises all over here on my arms and my neck, and just crazy stuff. But yeah, and then there's a video on top of that where I'm showing everybody my elbows, and they're bloody and stuff. And I decided I have the great idea of taking rubbing alcohol, because the makeup guys, effects guys right there, he goes, I ain't touching you. So it's like, so I'm putting that stuff on there, and I'm yelling, I'm complaining and shit. I'm like, oh, this is fucking painful and shit. And what you do, man, when you're in the moment, man, you don't think about it. You don't think about the pain or anything like that. That comes afterwards. That's when worse when you wake up. Even if you get a good night's sleep and your body is like, you can't move because it's so stiff.
No, we're not doing a 24-hour live.
I can't myself. I actually have another engagement to do a couple hours from now. So
yeah,
we can do that. Although that would be I've never done anything like that before, so I can only imagine. I mean, I guess what does the camera do? Follow me around when I go like eat and piss?
Oh
and
my
all that
goodness!
shit?
I don't know. That's scary. But yeah, I'm gonna tie this up, and I'm gonna play my lovely outro here, kind of promote myself here. But once again, I want to thank Wayne for being on with me tonight, and thank all you guys and gals in the chat. And Wayne will be returning. I'm going to get him back on here.
Wayne the return. You're eating chicken wings right now? I gotta wait another hour before I can eat. I got things I gotta do, so it's kind of like Although I don't eat chicken wings. I only eat the breasts because I'm funky like that. I'm not in the bones or boners. For anyone who's thinking that. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with people being like that, but I don't bat for that team. And not that there's anything wrong with people who do. It's just I have enough trouble with women. So. Right.
So we're gonna say good night for the night, and I guess bye until the next time I'm on here, which will be tomorrow on Sunday. I'm definitely doing watch along every Saturday and Sunday, so I'll be here. So everybody have a good night. Wayne, you have a great night, and I hope to see you again.
Oh yeah! All right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.